The stars have come to shine in the old form of a Bluegrass State motorsports staple where the claim includes cash, but also a bit of bragging rights, and everyone's gonna go for it. Live from Sparta, Kentucky, a warm welcome back to the virtual Kentucky Speedway as we bring you live coverage on the KBueno Racing Network of the All-Star Race for the Season 4 SAAC Cup Series. Thank you for joining us on the KBueno Racing Network in our return to Sparta, Kentucky in just nearly 5 years' time. We're in the broadcast booth tonight, giving you all the action on the racetrack. I am Kenneth Bueno. Well, it's safe to say we have joined just about the midway portion of this regular season. We just came off of Texas, a grueling and chaotic race. We'll touch on that in just several moments. But where we are right now, spearheading the middle of two very distinct categories of a season like this. We obviously started at Daytona, had a wild run through the later months, a big 2-week break in the middle of the summer, and then we ended the middle of the regular season in Texas. And then we have this race tonight, the All-Star event. Chance for the drivers to kick back, relax, although they are going for a crash prize that we'll discuss later on in tonight's show. But it's going to be right about at the beginning when mid-season madness begins at the virtual Portland International Raceway a couple weeks after. So safe to say this All-Star break is a nice little moment to settle back and digest what's gone on in the first half of this regular campaign, but things are only going to turn up intensity-wise as we move forward to the second road course race of the event or the season, and then kind of push forward to that eliminator chase format. A lot of drivers trying to make sure they are pointed their way forward or they have enough wins to get there, but the only problem is tonight is not really 4 points. It's going to be all about fun here in Kentucky. Well, last week the guns were out, the big ones were out at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway, and here how is all unfolded with Gabriel Dahari and a couple other drivers at the front of the grid. Lots of heavy names in the first 3 or so rows as they took the green flag, and Dahari, seemingly like it was at Iowa, dominated the first half of this race. But much like Iowa, lots of carnage early on. Traver Burns involved in a crash exiting turn 4. He would be one of those first causes for concern as Dahari kept on leading with drivers like AJ Hyder and Andretti Robinson fighting for position behind. Here's a great battle. Moreno down the inside of Andretti Robinson. Both of them would be in the top 10, at least for a majority of this race. And then big time trouble. Justin Raw getting hard into the outside wall, bringing Jason Ratchcock and Amir Bascombe with him at the exit of turn 2. It was a nasty hit to the wall. We saw many drivers overcorrect into the wall, much like Iowa, just losing grip. And how about James Thurston, return to the series here at Texas? Big slide in 1, 3 wide for a second. Moreno darts down to the bottom, is able to take both of those spots, and we had phenomenal racing at the front of this field. Lots of aggression and many different lines. Midway through, this is Duncan Fall finding trouble at the exit of turn 4, sliding through the grass, and basically that was all she wrote as he ended up in turn 1. Amir Bascombe just barely getting by. Many close calls at Texas. A lot of drivers with damage, but thankfully a lot of them were able to get it fixed before the checkered flag. And then our first real alternative decision on pit road. Moreno and Steven Maggio, two good friends, former teammates and alliance members, they stay out. AJ Hyder and Gabriel Dahari have to go through the madness in the middle of the field in order to find their way to where they were before, but it really took them a long while. More carnage off turn 2. Brian Lorenzo, a beautiful U-Albany car that was basically soiled here at the exit of the second corner down the back straightaway. It was a big time trouble spot, and for Steven Maggio, thought he had the race lead, tried to go for it. Yeah, just a little too much on the gas pedal as he was coming through the corner and slides, falls all the way back to 8th and really has to scrap in the middle of the pack. Meanwhile, guys like Alexander Schumacher having a great race tonight, top 10 at Texas Motor Speedway. His first top 10 of the season, his best finish of 2025 so far. Pit stops happening with Moreno in control, and basically that's where he would stay for a majority of the race, even with the pressure behind, before our biggest crash of the night. Rivers Jones going hard into the wall, sailing into the air. I don't think we've seen a crash that big throughout the course of this season. Onboard look, yeah, not pretty for Rivers Jones, the driver who was at front of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway last time we saw him before his suspension. And the green flag restart near the cusp of overtime, but not quite there yet. And Moreno outlasts the charge by Steven Maggio. Captures his 4th career SAAC Cup Series victory, 4th of the season. And to be honest, he has been on fire ever since the drop of the green flag and the drop of the checker at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. He has certainly been on a tear. So as we jump into this all-star race, obviously no points on the line, but format is going to be very fun and very interesting as well. We are going to race 2 events here at the virtual Kentucky Speedway. We'll be joined by the All-Star Open field in just a little bit as they go just a little over 30 laps in the race. Caution at lap 15, and the drivers that will advance will be the driver who leads the race at lap 15 at that caution break, and then the top 2, if they are not that leader at lap 15, at the start-finish line. The official admins will give us word who advances, but should it be leader lap 15, maybe the bottom 2 after in the top 3 will advance into the All-Star main later tonight. We also have a certified SAAC guy spot given to a driver who has showed up to every single SAAC Cup Series race, but has not been able to be locked into the All-Star main later on tonight, so they will get an award, and so will the fan vote winner. We've had a lot of drivers have their support over the last couple of days, getting their votes in, trying to gain that spot if, let's say, they do not gain an open spot on track position. Then after, we will go to Wild West with the Pro 2 lights for All-Star qualifying. You've never seen a format like this before. 10 laps at Wild West in a very different style of race. That finishing order will decide the running order when we take the green flag for the All-Star main. We'll return to the virtual Kentucky Speedway, and then we'll run it all. 67 laps for the $50 cash prize and the bragging rights of being an All-Star race winner in the SAAC Cup Series Season 4. So that's our format. We should be off-road racing in a little bit after this qualifying session ends, and once we wrap up this first open race, of course, fan vote winner, certified SAAC guy winner, and of course the driver who ends up taking the top spot, whoever it may be, will be those drivers to advance into that main race later on tonight. Well, it's our first trip on the KBueno Racing Network to the virtual Kentucky Speedway in a little under 5 years' time. Last time we raced here was November of 2020. This track is a classic one, not raced anymore on the NASCAR calendar, and as we race this track tonight on Sim, it's the legacy version, so an even older scan of this Kentucky Speedway. Opened back in 2000 with the banking at just about 18 to 20 degrees. It really varies on that front straightaway, and then lots of bumps in the middle of the corner, and this track in Sparta, Kentucky, just at 1.5 miles, so not too long of a configuration. Was one of those cookie cutter tracks that took a bulk of the NASCAR schedule in the mid-seasons through the summer, but right now it is just abandoned, just waiting for NASCAR or another oval series to return. But in the sim, it lives on forever, and so we will take the starting grid with the drivers taking on this Kentucky Speedway for the first time this year. Well, drivers are lined up behind the iRacing official pace car, so let's give you tonight's starting grid for the All-Star Open with a chance at the All-Star main in sight later on this evening. We're on the pole. It is the Port Huron, Michigan native, fresh off of his best career SAAC Cup Series finish at Texas. Alexander G. Schumacher, 31.304 for the Michigan driver. He'll line it up inside of row number 1. And Indiana native Trevor Haley going to be on the outside for KBueno Racing as they take the front row and the green flag. James Thurston in the 82 car rolls his Ford Mustang inside the top 3 after he returned from Texas last Thursday. And James Bomar in the 15 car will be on the outside in P4. Back to line up the top 5, it is the Pennsylvania driver, Nicholas Baumann, going to roll off 5th with a 31.4. Jamie Wright in the 38 going to be on the outside in P6. Before you find Traver C. Burns, the 02 car in 7th. Gino Merrill, the 46 Toyota Camry, he'll be on the outside in 8th place. And then to line up the top 10, Austin Duran in the 52, whale of a race at the virtual Iowa Speedway. Didn't see him much at Texas last Thursday, but he'll try to get a spot into the main race regardless. And Shockey Tarpley going to line up the top 10 in the number 25 car. He is, by the way, one of those top drivers in the fan vote as we enter this session. Larry Miles in the 30 car will be 11th. Malachi Drake in P12. He was the winner last time KBRN broadcasted a race at Kentucky back in the Red Line Racing League days of 2020. Justin Rock going to be 13th. Nathaniel Tallman, his number 54 car, lines up on the outside in 14th place. Duncan Fall, the 61 car, top 15. Declan George, the 17, back in 16th place. 17th will go to Ellis Wells. And Christopher A. Robinson, the 12 machine, going to line up the 18 car field for this All-Star Open. So a reminder, we go 33 laps here from Kentucky in this open race. We have a caution at lap 15, so at the near midway portion of the event, we will have that yellow come out. Whoever is leading at the time of that yellow flag will be automatically advanced into the main. They'll have nothing to worry about until the checkered flag. However, all those other guys, fan vote winners or not, or other finishers, are just going to try their very best to get into a $50 to win all-star race that'll happen later tonight. Weather in Kentucky, very beautiful. Sun has come out. It was a very cloudy session earlier on this evening, but winds blowing to the southwest at nearly 5 to 6 miles an hour, triple digits in the track temperature, so it will be a slick and very abrasive Kentucky Speedway that'll grace this open field trying to advance forward. All-Star Open Racing for the first time in the SAAC Cup Series on the KBueno Racing Network. Green flag from Kentucky. And off of turn 2, we're going to be 3 wide in the battle for the lead momentarily. James Thurston with a wonderful charge to the inside. And now a spinner, Schumacher around from the pole in turn 3. He'll catch several others on the way to the outside wall. Traber, Burns, Jamie Wright, Larry Miles in the back of the pack. And the pole sitter drops sideways in the middle of turn 3. And the first yellow will be thrown before lap 1 complete. And that was just off the realization that Schumacher had lost the lead. Trevor Haley and James Thurston making it 3 abreast off of turn 2. They had places to go very quickly, and they were able to charge on the outside and make it happen. Schumacher dropped sideways, and that car really had a tough going as he was sliding up the banking in the middle of the entire field. So here's another look at how this all began. And remember, it is the exit off of turn 2, which is going to get Schumacher. He wobbles loose down the bottom. To the outside goes Thurston. Same for Trevor Haley. And Schumacher drops all the way to 4th. He'll drop sideways right about there. Car slips, and he goes around. Traber Burns, Jamie Wright, and then Larry Miles all the way in the background. Lots of damage for them. I believe Schumacher was able to get away without that much damage to his Ford Mustang, but it was certainly a hard enough hit to probably take him out for the moment. Here's the look on board with Schumacher. You know, a lot of drivers in practice were seeing a loose condition in the middle of 3 and 4. It is a abrupt surface that really gets you, and when you're in the top end of 4th gear, very hard to make things happen rotation-wise, and when you've got so much throttle input into it, it very well could be a difficult situation. So for Alexander Schumacher, great qualifying effort, but not so much in the race effort off lap 1. His bottom right-hand reaction will give you all that you need to know about his frustrations as he tries to move forward in this All-Star Open. So we mentioned the fan vote, how that will play a significant role into the drivers that actually will make it into the main race later tonight. We had a top 6 running order hours before this race session went live. They deduced it to a top 4. It was announced at 8 p.m. Eastern, 15 minutes before the main session went up on iRacing. And here's what we have. Top 4 as it stands, Ellis Wells with the most votes of them all, over 1,600 votes. As he drops into this, Alexander Schumacher right behind him, and then Duncan Fall and Shockey Tarpley through the top 2. I'm just going to reiterate myself, over 1,200 points, rather, given to Ellis Wells. Everybody behind trailing, at least some of them by a lot, between Duncan Fall and Shockey Tarpley. They are more than 500 points below the top 2 of Wells and Schumacher, so the 68 of Schumacher is going to have to hope that either this race turns around at lap 15 or at lap 33, or if he's able to get the fan vote win, he will have that golden ticket. Remember how Casey Kane did it in the NASCAR Cup Series back in the mid-2000s, the way he won the fan vote, advanced into the main, ended up storming the field and winning the race. Very well could be a possibility that one of the drivers tonight that advances through the fan vote will be able to take the field in a strong way, lots of momentum as the main race goes green later this evening. So just only 4 laps complete here from Kentucky. Trevor Haley will have the front row. And James Thurston, I believe, might have been scored 3rd after the initial yellow. So he'll be inside of the 2nd row, or I believe this might have been Choose Cone, but nonetheless, Thurston is going to join the inside group. And James Bomar, driver of the 15 car, who has struggled a bit over Season 4 of the SAAC Cup Series. Many strong performances soiled by crashes and some mistakes along the way. Bomar is going to hope that maybe this all-star race, even though it's not worth any points or worth anything in terms of the championship run, it could very well be a positive momentum swing, could help him confidence-wise moving into the race. So Trevor Haley, James Bomar going to settle out the front row. James Thurston waiting to give the shove. They're through the restart zone. Late start by Thurston. Green flag. And a great start by Haley. Bomar going to track him down in the exit of turn 2, and Shockey Tarpley jumped into this race 4th. On the fan vote side of things, he's going to try to use position to get himself that golden ticket. Thurston off of the shaky restart has dropped all the way back to 5th. Behind him, 3 wide. Through the middle, Justin Robb making it happen. Now the spinner. Duncan Fall will go sideways. He'll try to save it. Touched by Tallman. And there should be the yellow second time in this All-Star Open. It is Duncan Fall going for the spill off turn 4. It's on that highlight package earlier on tonight. Fall, one of those drivers involved in many of the thrown yellows at Texas Motor Speedway last Thursday. And Fall either jumping sideways or might have had some help as they were stacked about 3 to 2 wide, a couple rows deep in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Will be under the yellow flag for the second time with 9 laps to go until that caution break at lap 15. So here's how it happened. Middle 3, that's that light blue, number 61 of Justin Rutt in front. And it's Ellis Wells that makes that contact with Fall. And Fall was nearly about to save it. Schumacher was there. And I'm not sure if there was really help, but Nathaniel Tallman gave the dealing blow. And it was all that she wrote for the number 61 car, who has struggled a bit this season. Here's the onboard look, and again, 3 wide. This was off the base of James Thurston's slow restart behind the race leader. It bunched everybody up. That KFC Chevrolet in the bottom, that's Nicholas Baumann. And although there isn't initial contact, it's going to happen right there off turn 4. Nothing that Fall can do. He's saving the car and was just about to save it, but tried to veer out of the way of Schumacher. Didn't want to give him any more damage, and so Fall will go for the spill. Flat spot at Goodyear Eagles. He's on pit road and will be trapped under the yellow flag for just the second time in this very quick All-Star Open race. And jumping into this Kentucky Speedway, I believe it might just be the first time that we are racing on this legacy version of Kentucky. This is a 2011 scan from the iRacing service. You know, a lot of the old NASCAR ovals, you got to look all the way back to the early days of iRacing, even back to 2008 to find some of the scans that made it onto the sim. A lot of the old surfaces. I mean, first track that comes to mind, Atlanta Motor Speedway, now the renovated Echo Park Speedway that was reinvigorated and brought to the iRacing sim to 2025 scale and 2025 design. But that old 2008 Atlanta surface is super rough and bumpy track that a lot of drivers find immensely fun to drive. That's still on the service. You think of old tracks like the Pocono Raceway, a 2009 scan for the track in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. And then here from Kentucky, a track that, even though it's not run anymore in the real life side of things for NASCAR, it is still available to run on iRacing as a renovated and good-looking track where they altered the banking in turn 1, made it a very fast sector of the racetrack, and they kept turns 3 and 4 at the same shallower banking. There, you got to slow down a little bit. There are more uses of different lanes in 3 and 4 in the modern version, but in this old scale of Kentucky Speedway on the sim, corners are same banked on both ends of the track, so you can look at multiple lanes of use either in 1 and 2 or in 3 and 4, but from the shallow laps we've seen already in this All-Star Open, it appears bottom side seems to be prevalent in 1 and 2. Everybody darts to their different lanes in 3 and 4. Maybe just that muscle memory that they've had from prior times that they've raced in Kentucky, but several drivers have mentioned to me that they haven't bought this track until the hours leading up to this All-Star race. So a lot of drivers are either getting their first laps here at this track in this Open, or even some guys that haven't raced Kentucky in the main race are going to try and use it to their advantage and potentially use maybe the little bit of practice they had earlier on tonight to make some good effect later on for the $50. Well, let's see if we can go green this time. Trevor Haley and James Bomar, similar front row to the green flag. And Haley already up to block. In the middle of 1 and 2, down low goes Shockey Tarpley, the 25 car, looking for an entryway for the race lead. And door checking in turn 3. Haley gets sent up the banking, and Shockey Tarpley bullying his way to the front. James Bomar, James Thurston in the battle for P2. Now Haley trapped 3, 4 wide, down to turn 1. And how will this work? And poor Haley just got bumped out of line and had nowhere to go. And the Indiana native who started on the outside of the front row here in this open will have to challenge still. 3 wide now on the top side. Drake down the bottom. And Gino Mero trying to make it work through the middle. We're still about 4 wide in the middle of turn 4 as they battle for second up front. What a fight we were watching in the middle of this pack. Remember, leader at lap 15 will get the advancement spot right now in the hands of Shockey Tarpley. And now here comes Bomar, battle to the inside. James Bomar, the AD Graphics number 15, slides to the inside, makes the pivot, and for now, Tarpley will play the defense crossover off turn 4. 4 laps to go to the lap caution. And how much will that invite the number 82 car of James Thurston, who runs third in this group, the Charlie Bauer Photography onboard camera. You watch just how much they are tiptoeing around this Kentucky Speedway. And just how much is at stake. Down to 4th gear. And now the fight for second. Maybe the fight for the lead. Thurston on the top side will clear Tarpley off turn 4. He'll stay down with a moment's notice and try to catch up the Bomar back to turn 1. And they have left the rest of the pack, as we'll come down to the final 2. Remember again, leader at lap 15, then the following top 2 finishers at the end of this race will advance to the main. Thurston bobbles down the inside. There goes Tarpley in the move for P2. And not too far behind, Justin Rock going to try to make an effort from 4th. On Bomar's screen, Tarpley just getting farther in the rearview mirror. As they come across to the final lap, here before this competition caution waves at lap 15. No other big changes inside the top 5. Nicholas Baumann and Trevor Haley, the 2 KBueno Racing teammates, they may square it off for 5th. But James Bomar walks off turn 4. He'll take the lead still. He'll cross to lap 15. We'll wait for the yellow flag to throw whenever race control decides it is fit, as Thurston tries again the bottom alley dive on Shockey Tarpley for second off turn 2. Saw Thurston in the heated battles in the top 5 just last week at Texas. And he'll steal away second from Tarpley. Bomar leads him off of turn 4. And at lap 15, to cross the line, James Bomar will have the advancement into the main race. And the competition caution flies. And what a drive from Bomar to be able to skate to the front. Remember, he had started in the first several rows. And he'll duck down to the entry of pit lane. It appears he will let the rest of the group scatter it out and race for the win. James Bomar gets it done in the opening 15. And he will bring the field around to the caution flag. James Thurston, in turn, who took away second from Shockey Tarpley, will inherit the lead. At this point, race control is just going to tell James Bomar, you're good. You are locked into the main race. No worries until, well, the Pro 2 lights get going at the virtual Wild West Motorsports Park later on tonight. And the rest of the field will take by. The iRacing official pace car will be under the yellow flag with a chance for the field to come down to pit road. So some of those big movers in the middle of this first stint of the All-Star Open, some of them, of course, include the likes of Justin Rott, moved up to 3rd. Alexander Schumacher, despite that spill on the opening lap of the race, he has moved back to 8th. So still with a chance with his Ford Mustang to get something going. Trevor Haley has dropped down to 9th. Duncan Fall was involved in that secondary yellow just around lap 6 or so, and he's all the way back at the edge of the top 10. Decisions on pit road. Malachi Drake will elect to stay out. The 90 car will be the solitary machine to stay on the racetrack and avoid pit road. Only 17 laps in. Remember, this is a race only 33 laps in distance, so you can make it all the way to the checkered flag with these cars and with the type of fuel setting they have on these next-gen machines. The tires are the biggest concern at a track that is diamond cut like this old surface at Kentucky is, and how bumpy it is as well. Tires will be the biggest threat for the rest of the field, but for Malachi Drake, you know, he's found success here at Kentucky before. That faded race in 2020 of the Red Line Racing League where Drake was able to be contentious and then ended up winning the event after saving as much fuel as possible, basically running out of the exit of turn 4. But Drake will lead him. Christopher Robinson, it appears, will elect to be that second car off. It was just about a 9.4 second stop, so I believe lots of two-tire decisions for the field as they come off to the back straightaway. And big time gains for Schumacher and Trevor Haley. They'll move up several. They'll be in 3rd and 4th. And Robinson, who was the final car in this 17-car group, is going to now be on the outside of the front row, most likely when we get the next green flag start. Well, let's see if we can try and talk to the driver of the number 68, the pole sitter here in this All-Star Open. We are joined now by Alexander Schumacher. Alex, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy. I'm right here.
All right, Alex. Well, you guys are prepping up for the restart, but a crazy first start to the race. You went sideways in 3 and 4, but this pit road decision is going to get you with a clean race car, number 1, but track position, number 2. How difficult has it been to master this Kentucky Speedway, and what's the plan here over the next, give or take, 13 laps, if you don't win the fan vote to try to get into the main?
Number 1, give her hell. Just gonna drive the wheels off. I'm thinking 2 tires was the right call here. The left side didn't wear very much, and I think you're battling the air more than the track. The air wash here and the rear air grief is what got me early overheated my tires. So I think you're battling the air and where you're directing it more. Obviously, you can't overdrive the track, and yeah, that's about it. We're just gonna get ready here. Hope to God I make it in, and thanks to everyone who voted. Hopefully it was worthwhile.
You had a lot of support in that fan vote, Alex. Best of luck on the restart, trying to airbend your way to the front.
Well, thank you, Kenneth.
So Alex Schumacher just joining us there. He'll be on the outside of the second row. Robinson chooses the bottom. Drake, who is the lone driver to stay out on this yellow flag period. Competition caution at lap 15. He will elect to be out on the oldest set of the field, has not made one singular stop. First car on 4 freshies, James Thurston inside the top 5. Drake will bring the field to the restart zone. Restart, 14 to go in the All-Star Open. And didn't take long for 3 wide. Trevor Haley down the middle. Race off turn 2, nearly 4 wide. And now the spinner, Trevor Haley and Thurston and company go hard into the wall. Caution flag out. And the 2-tire call, or the 4-tire call, didn't pay off. Yellow flag out with 14 to go. And there's the spinning Haley. And that is not the look you want from the Indiana native. He is not in the top 4 when it comes to the fan vote. And his chances at making the main race later tonight may be squandered. And all started from this restart, though. They were just about 3 wide as James Thurston got a wonderful jump, pivoted to the inside as they were carrying to turn 1. I'm not sure if Haley thought it was coming. They were 3 wide already in the corner. And it's these 3 here, that blue KBRN machine in the middle, that black and brownish flame car of Thurston in this red, white, and light blue Mario machine. Yeah, it's going to be contact between Haley and then the outside car of Wright. And they just go sailing for the inside barrier. Thurston hard damage. Trevor Haley spinning backwards. Jamie Wright hit on all sides of his Toyota Camry. And the yellow will fly. They most likely will go a lap down or more. There they are on pit road. And it's going to be harder hits for these drivers in the All-Star Open. James Bomar, lucky that he was leading there lap 15. Very good at the right time. And so just kind of watching by as the rest of the field scatters around and try to master this Kentucky Speedway. But we haven't had a very long green flag run so far tonight. You know, you think of the longest green flag stretch, it was the run up to lap 15, which give or take could be 5 to 6 laps, but we haven't gone green the rest of the way since, and we're already coming down to these final laps. And even then, possibility of overtime, just depending on what race control decides, whether this will end under yellow if we get there, or if they are electing to let the field shoot it out and have a go at it. But Malachi Drake, the best man in it all, this decision to stay out for track position has worked out in a leveled field that has crashed a lot so far and has encountered a ton of chaos, as we pull up into the next race of the night, which should come around with the Pro 2 lights at Wild West. And again, mentioning that format, I don't think I've ever seen a format like that in an all-star race, especially when it comes down to oval racing. Not often do they switch up the whole discipline and let the field scrap it out to try and settle their qualifying spots for the main race later on tonight, to which it's going to be a very different car to drive. It's going to be a very different track. There's going to be more grip in some places, given that it's dirt versus asphalt, but it is a very different approach, something that the admins at the SAAC Cup Series have really told us that that's what they try to do with the Eliminator Chase format. They tried to make their own format to make it as interesting as possible, and it's been really cool to see what Cody Riveras and the entire admin team has cooked up for the run of the championship and how they elected this all-star race to be decided, especially that qualifying situation. But nonetheless, we've got 10 laps to go at the start-finish line when we get this All-Star Open underway. And a reminder that James Bomar, leader at lap 15 when the comp yellow came out, he has already advanced. It is the top 2 that cross the start-finish line in this Open that will move on. Alexander Schumacher, Shockey Tarpley, Duncan Fall among those that are in the fight, along with Ellis Wells. They are fighting for the fan vote win. And at the moment, Ellis Wells has the edge. So field off turn 4 in the hands of Drake. The fuel-saving master in terms of saving, not really fuel this time. It's going to be tires. As he comes off of the final corner, pace car down. Schumacher down the inside. 10 laps to go in this All-Star Open with Drake up front to the restart. And that time, a beautiful launch by those on the bottom. Contact. Schumacher spun. And he's up to the wall. Justin Rock got into him as they were entering turn 1. And the frustration boils over for Schumacher as he got tapped off the restart. Had a great jump on the race leader at Drake. Nearly had a shot to the inside. Again, he was on the 2 fresh Goodyear Eagles and now spun around for just the second time this evening. Didn't take much to figure it out, though. Wonderful jump, though, by those on the bottom. And look at the push here. That's 76 Fall Creative Chevrolet. That's the Justin Raw machine. He's down the bottom. And they were just about 3 wide. Shockey Tarpley down the middle, but that's not the concern. It's there. Tap in turn 1. And Schumacher just pancakes the right side of his car as he was traveling up to the banking and into the outside wall. I don't believe there is suspension damage on behalf of Schumacher, but again, lost track position is prevalent, and there isn't much of this race to go. We've spent a majority of this one under yellow, as Drake will remain confident in his decision to stay out as long as he did and not come down for service, as Justin Rott and Christopher A. Robinson will challenge in the top 3. It will be Drake and Rott advancing into the All-Star main later on tonight, should they be able to hold on to their spots, as they are not in contention for the fan vote win. And again, back to that fan vote, highest running driver out of those 4 is Shockey Tarpley. But again, if you don't win the fan vote and you're not in the top 2, by the time this checkered flag comes out, that fan vote means basically nothing. It's null and void as you come around to the start-finish line to cross the checkered flag. If you are not that top driver with the support at the end of it, it appears you won't really be making that main race. You'll have to watch from the sidelines. And the driver with the best chance at it is Tarpley in that top 5. He was dead last out of this group of 4. Ellis Wells came up as the top driver with over 1,200 points in the voting, with Alexander Schumacher behind, as the Michigan native is still on pit road trying to repair what is left of his Ford Mustang. Let's see if we can talk to another driver in the field of this All-Star Open. We are now joined by the 57 driver of Ellis Wells. And Ellis, you know, it's been a little bit of a chaotic All-Star Open, that's for sure. Lots of yellows. You're back in 10th. Should have a restart inside, perhaps 7 to 6 laps to go. Is there just an all-out, go-for-it game plan to try and go for this All-Star main spot?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I'm still on 4 fresh tires. Both of the restarts so far, I've been close to just making moves on the outside. And I really want to get to that top 2, because more than being in the All-Star race, I want to race some Pro 2 light trucks.
Well, I was just about to bring that up.
Awesome.
The fact that we have a crazy format for Pro 2 lights. Are you a dirt road racer yourself? Do you enjoy? Are you a Pro 2 light enjoyer, should I say?
I was for a little bit, specifically last season, because we also did Pro 2 lights for qualifying, and that's when I was really in my dirt road kick, and I didn't make the race, and I was super bummed. So this time, you know, I want to get to the top 2 by any means necessary.
Well, hopefully the 4 fresh tires and your driving style can get you there to the front, Ellis. Thanks for the time, and best of luck on the restart.
Of course, thank you guys.
So Ellis Wells all the way back at the edge of the top 10. Again, looking for the front 2 spots. That is the target as they come off the final corner. Malachi Drake will remain in the race lead. Justin Rott to the bottom side. Again, Drake is the only driver in this field not to hit pit road through the open race. And he's had control of the campaign so far since that entryway to pit lane. And it's Justin Rott with a great restart last time by, trying to match his vibe as they come to the restart zone. Great jump by Rott. Door to door, back to turn 1. Rott down the bottom shelf. Drake fighting back. And Malachi Drake will keep his car planted. Sideways is Bauman in the back. Will stay green. They'll come around to 5 laps to go here from Kentucky in the open. Christopher Robinson down to 3rd, but again, it's between these top 2 to make it to the main. Spinner off turn 4. Duncan Fall through the grass. Yellow flag, does it wave? Do we stay green? I believe we will. Yellow flag doesn't fly. Drake in the lead off turn 2. What a sequence of events. And Malachi Drake coming to 4 laps to go. Shades of the fuel-saving race from Kentucky nearly 5 years ago. With a sideways Robinson. Now he'll spin. Shockey Tarpley around. Gino Mero perhaps in it. Caution flag again with 5 laps to go. There was another spinner in it as they were coming off of turn 4, and I believe there's even more trouble. They'll come around off the final corner, and they will pick up the pace car once again. Well, it's been a shaky open race. We haven't gone green much. And it's a slight mishap by Christopher Robinson, the driver who started dead last in this open race on the starting grid. We'll have to try and muster up the courage to try and challenge the top 2 in these final few. So here's a look. And there's no help. Carries through the bump in the middle of 3. And the car just whips out of control, catches Shockey Tarpley, and him spinning across the banking, of course, is more than enough to send him sideways. And Duncan Fall with a masterful save off of the final corner. He got a blessing in disguise as he ended up in that spin. Here's a look with Fall. And sliding, straightening it out right down the straightaway. And really bad luck for Fall as he will hit pit road, but good luck in the sense that he gained the track position by just letting that yellow flag come to the way. And he's on pit road, going to get some 4 fresh goodies. And for the rest of the field, they will stay behind Malachi Drake. What a defensive stance on Justin Rott as he was powering to the inside. That car has been quick, especially off the jump of the restarts to the green flag. He's been able to make sure that Drake has stayed within his grasp. Of course, we mentioned that contact with Schumacher. Had that not happened, perhaps Rott could have been in the race lead down the bottom because they were just about to be 3 wide for the lead. And then on that restart, Rott just kept up with Drake all the way to turn 1, pointed ahead for the lead momentarily, but it was just Drake manning the outside groove with all that momentum up high to be able to stay up front and remain in the front of this All-Star Open race, as I believe we may end up either with overtime or an organic restart inside the final few. But past this point, we should extend this race past lap 33. And once more, this is a chance at making it into the All-Star qualifying format at Wild West to get a chance at qualifying well for the main race here at Kentucky later on tonight, with a chance to gain $50 if you win the overall race. So again, we'll double them up for the restart and the driver. 4th in fan voting, Shockey Tarpley will man the inside from the front row, waiting for Drake to give him the call. Justin Rott and Gino Mero will settle out row number 2. I believe Mero may have nearly had a shot at getting involved in that crash off turn 4 the last time by with Christopher Robinson, but gained track position for the 46 car. He'll be on the inside of the 2nd row with a chance to make things happen. And it appears Drake very confident in running the high side and understanding the way this race has gone. It is played to his exact favor. Should this race have stayed green, maybe there could have been a lesser chance that Drake would have stayed in control of this race, given just how much tire power was handling behind him. But for the fact that we've seen yellow after yellow and we haven't had sustainable long green flag runs, a 2-lap to go restart will be all that Drake needs to be in 1st or 2nd to get into the feature. First attempt at the All-Star Open overtime, with Drake up in front, Tarpley to react. Pace car down to the entry of pit road at Kentucky Speedway. It has been a wild open race so far. Drake on the outside to charge. They stack up on both lanes. Green flag. And swiveling down low is Tallman. Drake on the high side. Wells is sideways. He'll try to save it in the middle of the corner. He's got it. And we'll stay green for now. Tallman in the outside wall, the inside wall rather. Larry Miles up top. Will they throw the yellow? They will not call more than one overtime restart here in Kentucky. Malachi Drake at the front with Tarpley right behind. And Malachi Drake said no to a pit stop at lap 15. Didn't take tires. Is starting to scurry away from the field as they're 3 wide behind for 3rd. Tarpley to advance to the main behind if he stays. And Malachi Drake off the final corner comes away on a no-stopper to win the All-Star Open from Sparta, Kentucky. What a drive by Drake. Him and Shockey Tarpley will be right into the All-Star main later tonight. And we'll wait on confirmation for the fan vote winner. I believe it will be Ellis Wells, who came into this race in the top 10 and fell back to 12th at the running of the checkered flag. And the Certified SAAC Guy Award. And that spot will be given momentarily. We'll wait for race control to give us that information. But for right now, Malachi Drake steps out in front of the All-Star Open and takes the dub to try and qualify into the main later tonight. And a great restart by Malachi Drake puts himself in the right place at the right time. And here from Kentucky, we enter our first completed race of the night as we step into qualifying later on in this format. So here are the unofficial results after 34 laps here from Kentucky and 1 overtime restart to decide the Open. Malachi Drake takes the checkered flag. Shockey Tarpley back in 2nd. He was 4th in All-Star fan voting earlier on this evening. It appears he will have a spot regardless from finishing 2nd. James Thurston, very strong car at the end, but ended up 3rd in that great battle between himself, Justin Rott in 4th, and Gino Merrill 5th. Traber Burns back in 6th, Christopher A. Robinson in 7th, Duncan Fall, Declan George, and Larry Miles round out the top 10. Again, for this group, Malachi Drake and Shockey Tarpley will advance into the main tonight. 11th will go to the 2-lap down car of Ellis Wells. I believe he has won the fan vote, but we'll get further confirmation, and he should have an entryway into qualifying. Nathaniel Tallman in 12th, Alex Schumacher back in 13th, Nicholas Baumann 14th, Jamie Wright, Trevor Haley, and James Bomar round out the 17-car field in the open. The rest of the names you're seeing are those who registered for practice to get some good laps in before the session went live, but James Bomar, leader of lap 15, he will also advance into the main race this evening from Kentucky Speedway. So a great open race, lots of carnage, but lots of great racing on the way, and a lot more still to decide. Pro 2s at Wild West comes up next on the KBueno Racing Network, but until then, you are watching coverage of the Season 4 SAAC Cup Series All-Star Race in a KBRN return to the virtual Kentucky Speedway.
Let's go racing!
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
There's only one fuel that can drive the performance you demand from your car. New 94 Octane, the highest octane on the market, only at Sunoco.
Let's go. What's up? What's up, Kenneth? What's going, man? How are you? Good. How you been? What you got in the bag, man?
I got a panini, I have a hoagie, I got it all through the Wall Rewards app.
You can order it all through the app?
You can order it all through the app.
I can order it all through the app. The world is my oyster! By placing your order on the Wawa app, you can pick up at any time with ultimate satisfaction. Gotta have a Wawa. Back live on our coverage on the KBueno Racing Network for the All-Star Race in the Season 4 SAAC Cup Series campaign. Just had the All-Star Open come to a wrap not that long ago. Malachi Drake and Shockey Tarpley getting the top 2 spots. They should be confirmed into this qualifying session as we change up the vibe and go dirt road racing here with the Pro 2 lights. First time we've ever done that in All-Star Racing format, but it will be a lot of fun to try and take down this track regardless. So drivers at the moment putting in their best several qualifying laps, or at least best practice laps, to settle out for the qualifying race as we get into it for the rest of the night. This is how it is all going to go down in this All-Star qualifying session. So we have 10 laps in the main race, and your finishing order will decide the All-Star main grid when we take the green flag later tonight and make the return to the virtual Kentucky Speedway. So we will only be off-road racing for this moment. We will be oval racing for the rest of the night. That'll be certain. So it's a bit of a detour here in Wild West Motorsports Park, a defunct dirt road racing circuit, but one that lives on the iRacing forums and iRacing community as one of the most fun dirt road tracks to drive. All of that, of course, trying to get into that All-Star main race that comes away not too far from now. 67 laps, and the winner will earn $50 in cash prizes as the drivers just try to put in their laps around this dirt road racing circuit. And I believe Ellis Wells, who told us he was in that dirt road racing fix when they came to the Pro 2 Lights last season, it looks like he will have his chance at gaining the front row spot for the stock car race later tonight in Kentucky. Here are the drivers putting in some of their qualifying efforts, and you're going to see a lot of names that made it into the All-Star main that were not a part of that open race. This is one of them, Michael Walls, the number 24 car, Devin Frank in the 56, Larry Miles, who is still in this one and ran in the open race. I believe he will still make it in. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, and then, of course, some of the best drivers of Season 4 up until this point. You've got the defending champ, Stephen Maggio, the 4-time race winner, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, Gabriel Dahari, who's a 1-time race winner from Las Vegas, and many, many more. Some of the looks at drivers putting in their practice laps. As of right now, 8.5 minutes remain in this session for the guys to settle out this race, and I believe they will have a qualifying chance to put themselves up front for the actual 10-lap main race that we'll have in this qualifying format. But there's one of the drivers, the 52 car. That is Austin Doran in a SpongeBob paint scheme, and if there's something you're noticing on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, Austin Doran is wearing all the medals that he's picked up because he made All-Star qualifying and made the All-Star main tonight. So a bit of a heavier neck for Austin Doran. He's going to try and carry the weight all the way to an All-Star win later on tonight in Sparta, but using the off-road skills to his advantage. And so far, one of those drivers, top 11 in the practice session, as many of the drivers are still kind of getting their bearings together and stepping into the realm of Wild West in the sim. There's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, driver of the number 00, picked up a top 3 effort, his best finish in a while in the SAAC Cup Series at Texas Motor Speedway last Thursday, and told us how happy he was to get a good finish like that. Jurgensmeyer, very fast on the charts right now, 54.917. Nobody has been able to beat Devin Frank, who is nearly a full second, faster than a majority of the field right now in practice. But again, practice is practice. Qualifying is a very, very different beast. So we'll keep an eye on that as this race continues to move forward, and as the session will give the drivers enough time to put in their laps, try to get a bit more confident behind the wheel, and just figure out where they're going to be by the time this race comes to a close. So as everybody continues to put in their laps here from Wild West Motorsports Park, we'll take a short break and be right back with the coverage of the All-Star qualifying race for the Season 4 SAAC Cup Series All-Star race, and we'll be back to Kentucky after that, but Wild West Racing comes their way on the other side.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back live from the virtual Wild West Motorsports Park. Thank you for joining us on the KBueno Racing Network as we get ready for the All-Star qualifying race here in the SAAC Cup Series for Season 4. Kenneth Bueno with you in the broadcast booth as we get ready for some Pro 2 Light off-road truck racing. This is an onboard look from one of the trucks in the top 8 in practice, Austin Duran, who we told the story with the medals earlier on in that show, right before we got the commercial break through. So a lot of drivers still kind of getting their bearings together. A healthy mix of drivers who are very confident in their abilities at doing well in this race, and those who are maybe a little scared to get this race underway. So let's see if we can talk to some of the drivers on the field as they get in their qualifying laps. For right now, lots of drivers just trying to figure out where they are going to be, and it's just a matter of putting themselves in the right place at the right time. And still so far, Devin Frank has been the best driver of them all. Hasn't really given up a lot of that time. There he is with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. And there's that crunch number 56. A lot of the schemes aren't really showing here on the sim, but that's a main reason because of that is mainly because the drivers in this field, some of them do not run Pro 2 Lights at all. Some of them have not put a scheme together. I mean, obviously, a lot of them didn't know about the overall format as they were going into this race, but still, a lot of them either going in with some trading paint schemes or perhaps maybe a scheme that they whipped up in the hours leading up to this All-Star qualifying race, especially those that knew they were going to be here. And, of course, that list includes former race winners, seasoned champions, and the list goes on. Lots of experience here in this All-Star qualifying field. Still just about 2.5 minutes until we get this qualifying session underway for the 10-lap feature that'll bring drivers a chance to put themselves on the front row for the All-Star main that'll happen later on tonight. Let's get a word with one of the drivers that is in this field for All-Star qualifying. Did not take part in the All-Star Open because you, Connor Trafari, you were already locked in, and now you're putting in your laps and figuring out this Wild West Motorsports Park with a Buc-ee's truck. We'll talk about that in a bit. But it seems like you're joining the vibe of Austin Duran here, the medals around the neck. Yeah. What's the reason why, and why have you and Austin kind of gotten into this bit for qualifying with the Pro 2 Lights?
Oh, I just kind of wanted to show off on my medals. So this isn't even all of them. This is just all first place medals. I have probably about 15 up on my wall there, or that are third and second place medals. But all these were just from karting and shit like that, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, I just saw them wear all the medals, like, damn, that's a really good use of them, so why not? Well,
I was telling Austin, I guess, as a verbal warning over the broadcast, not directly to him, that maybe his neck is going to be a little heavy by the time this Wild West Motorsports Park race is done for qualifying for the All-Star race. But, you know, apart from karting, what perhaps other awards have you gotten for the medals? Are they all karting, or is it kind of a sprinkle of different?
Yeah, they're all karting. So actually, there's a K1 right, not even like 15 minutes away from my house. So I used to do the teen league, and then they rebranded to another company. I was doing the adult league with them, and I actually have a trophy right above me. It's just like a golden cart I got from the Teen Cup.
Well, that's pretty cool, Connor. I watch you putting in laps right now in practice, just getting a feel for this truck at Wild West Motorsports Park. Talk to us about the way this format is structured. Pro 2 Lights at Wild West after an oval race with NASCAR cars at Kentucky, and then you guys are going to go back to Kentucky with stock cars and race on the proper mile and a half. So how atypical is it in the rhythm sense for you having to jump disciplines with the rest of these guys in order to give yourself a good starting spot in the main race, to which we see next-gen cars at intermediate tracks use track position so much, and it's mattered a lot over the regular season as well?
Yeah, it's definitely different for sure. I'm usually pretty decent on the rallycross. Definitely not in these trucks. They're definitely different. I usually do like the Beetles and anything other than these trucks, honestly. But it's definitely different for sure, because it's completely different. Like, you're jumping and turning right in these trucks. You're not doing that at Kentucky. But it's a lot of fun. I'm really just kind of treating this as like a fun race, honestly, if I gotta be honest. Because, I don't know, I feel like I'll do better driving it like that, you know?
Well, Connor, if it comes down to the white flag in this qualifying race, and you've got a truck right in front of you, no matter who it is, whether it's Austin with the medals, and you're going to try and knock him off his neck, or somebody else, what are you willing to do in that final corner to get the pole for the All-Star main with a chance at $50?
Oh, man, you don't want to know, man.
So I'm guessing everything is on the table. There's nothing
Oh
written
yeah,
down.
everything's on the table, and I completely expect someone else to do that to me.
All right, Connor. Well, thank you so much for the time. We'll tap in with you over the course of this qualifying race, but best of luck as you put in your queue time to get on the grid.
Thank you.
So that is Connor Trifari as he gets his level around this virtual Wild West Motorsports Park, a track that, like we said earlier on in this show, is not around in real life anymore. It was closed several years ago, but it is a track that lives on the iRacing service, and something that's so special about iRacing, apart from getting the modern versions of cars and the updates to tracks. You know, we Oval fans have had a bit of a spoiling to ourselves. A lot of the NASCAR 25 track updates have come around in the sim. A lot of visual aspects changed to many ovals, and we've seen it across the board, especially in this series on the KBueno Racing Network. We saw Iowa not that long ago, Las Vegas, and the renovated track visual layout that we saw. But one great thing about sim racing and iRacing in general, lots of tracks on the sim that are either not in operation from any series right now, or are not in operation at all and have been demolished and torn down, Wild West being one of them. You know, we think to Myrtle Beach Speedway, a legendary short track in South Carolina that was torn down, and it's still alive on iRacing. You can still go out and drive it. Same deal for tracks like Chicagoland, which is still intact, but NASCAR has not raced there in many years since 2019. Kentucky Speedway, the track we're racing tonight for the All-Star Main later on in this show on the KBueno Racing Network. It is not an in-use NASCAR track, but it is a track that is still of use on iRacing and still could be used by the community at large, whether it be through hosted sessions or whether it be through fun qualifying things like this and all-star races like this as well. In qualifying, Devin Frank right now has the fastest time. He has been the blistering Pro 2 light truck, 54.113. We'll get Devin Frank on the front row for now in the final 7.5 minutes of qualifying. Of course, many different laps to improve on your time. We're looking at Daytona winner Wyatt Roberts as he challenges through the last sector here, uphill on the jumps. Lots of them here at Wild West Motorsports Park. Let's get an onboard look on this lap. Lots of discipline needed and lots of patience on the throttle if you want to rotate this Pro 2 light around Wild West Motorsports Park. This is the uphill section going from the hill, and then you kind of turn around, make a bit of an S curve, and go all the way back downhill in those final several corners. And it's a high-speed final corner as well, and you'll take a look at it as soon as Wyatt Roberts comes around to the start-finish line, which is a jump in itself. That's how fun these Pro 2 light cars are, trucks are rather, here at Wild West and many of the other off-road dirt racing tracks, the likes of Crandon and several others that are really fun to drive. And a heartbreaking turn one. We're going to see lots of carnage, lots of chaos, maybe 3-4 wide, maybe more than that, as they come around these very bouncy Pro 2 lights here at Wild West. So just a reminder on the format, what we should expect to see tonight. This is what we are going to have, 10 laps in this qualifying all-star session to make it into the main race and put yourself either on the front row or wherever else when we get the green flag then, as the admins will put in the manual running order. $50 again on the line if you end up winning that Kentucky race later on this evening. So a potential chance for guys like Roberts, maybe Devin Frank, you know, drivers maybe not super strong on the asphalt oval side of things, but they have this cool niche of off-road dirt racing, and they seem to be the best drivers so far as they continue to put in laps. So just about 5 minutes left in this session before they take the green flag as Roberts comes to a stop. Let's see if we can talk to the driver of the number 42 as he comes around and puts in his best efforts for Q. Wyatt, you got a copy with us?
Yes, I do.
All right, Wyatt. Well, this seems to be a niche of yours, a very fun one at that. Second place right now on the charts, 54.730, which is your best lap so far. What were your thoughts as the admins decided this was going to be the All-Star qualifying format, and maybe any preparations, anticipations you've had as we get down in these final minutes of Q?
I mean, it's similar to what we did last year. We had a Charlotte Rallycross race in these cars, in the trucks. But as for preparation, I haven't really done Wild West. Occasionally on iRacing, I'll load up the rally trucks if I got nothing to do, but feels pretty good starting second place here.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and for confidence sake, I mean, rhythm trying to change from one discipline to the other, but we mentioned how track position in these next-gen cars after the update are so important. How important is a front-running spot in this qualifying race going to matter when you take the green flag at Kentucky if you're able to keep yourself in this top two or maybe capture the win?
Yeah, the All-Star race isn't super long, not as long as the race we normally do, so I think starting up front would be very good. Hopefully I can hold it in the turn one, so that's going to be the hardest part. I think once it gets spread out, then be the best.
Well, Wyatt, we appreciate the time as always. Good luck as you guys take the green flag in a couple of minutes' time.
Thank you.
That is Wyatt Roberts in second place in qualifying. As we look at it, Devin Frank is going to have the pole sitting spot as he's been clearly the best driver. He clocked in a lap nearly a full second faster than Roberts over the 5-lap average. 53.792. He's been nearly a full second faster, half a second or more quicker than everybody in this field. So if anyone can stop him physically, there could be a very well open door for the rest of the guys. But if Frank is able to pull away over these short 10 laps that are going to go by very, very quickly, well, maybe a GG for the field as Devin Frank will take the pole in the All-Star Main at Kentucky Speedway. Again, a chance for drivers who have a discipline like this in their back pocket that they may not have a chance to use that often if they don't official race or they don't league race on the dirt off-road side of things. If they're able to implement their skills here, they can have that one leg over the rest of the field and put themselves in a great spot, to which the next-gen cars at Kentucky, next-gen cars, frankly, anywhere that we've seen over the first half of this SAAC Cup Series regular season, it is going to be all about track position and having positions at the front. Final 2 minutes here in qualifying. It appears the entire field has put in their best 5. It is very different from the usual 2-lap qualifying structure that we have with the next-gen cars across the overall regular season, but that's the reason why. It's an all-star race. It is for fun. There is a lot of still things on the line, especially the $50 that'll be given to the winner at the end of tonight's action, but from Wild West Motorsports Park, another minute and a half to kill before we get to the green flag. Let's try and talk to another driver who will be taking on this Wild West Motorsports Park with 4 race wins in the back pocket for the regular season, but trying to go dirt road racing for the first time this season and get a win to put yourself on the front row. Ethan Fonseca Moreno joins us now. Ethan, I don't really know what your expectations are for a race like this at Wild West. I don't think I have any expectations for anyone in the field. Do you have any kind of preliminary thoughts before you guys take the green for the 10-lap race?
Sure. I didn't know we were going racing, honestly. I thought we were just qualifying here, but yeah, I don't really know what to expect here. I'm qualified 15th, and by the looks of it, I'm about the 4th slowest here. So, yeah, I don't know. Just try to look for some spots here, I guess, or try to get better at this. Try to get my gridding spot better for the All-Star race. But yeah, this is going to be a rough one for me.
It appears that it's going to be an all-out format, I'd imagine, but the main focus is, of course, that main race later on tonight, to which you are going to make, given how successful you've been in your SAAC Cup Series career, especially this year with the 4 race victories coming back to Texas last Thursday. You told us earlier on this afternoon that you had to buy the track, you were putting in laps of the practice session for the Open. What have you kind of learned in that short amount of time, and how are you going to try and continue to learn in order to put that confidence forward and try to go for the $50 at race end?
I think I've got the track figured out, how to drive it and all that, how to set fast laps. So, I mean, at this point, I was just trying to navigate traffic because I know I'm going to have to get through traffic to this race. So, still being aware of all the air griefing and all that. So, it's going to be interesting. Got some challenges ahead, but yeah, just got gotta go for it all.
Ethan, appreciate the time. Best of luck in this qualifying race at Wild West.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So Ethan Fonseca Moreno will qualify 15th in this 10-lap All-Star qualifying event. Again, this will decide the main grid when we take the green flag back at Sparta, Kentucky later on tonight. On the front row, Devin Frank, the fastest man of them all in his Crunch Pro 2 Lite. 53.792, the fastest of his 5-lap effort. Wyatt Roberts on the outside, Daytona International Speedway winner from earlier on this season. They'll be taking the green flag to the hard-charging turn 1, but they may not end up out of that corner with first or second. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, the 00, going to be inside the top 3. AJ Hyder puts in a good qualifying shine. He'll be 4th when we take the green tonight. With Gabriel Dahari, one-time race winner this season from Las Vegas, going to be inside the top 5. Cody Riveras in the 36 in position number 6 outside of row 3. Andretti Robinson with a race of a lifetime at Texas last Thursday, going to be 7th. Amir Bascom in the 21, going to be at 8th on the outside of the 4th row. Malachi Drake, the winner from the All-Star Open earlier on this evening. This is his spot in qualifying from 9th, and the season champion from last campaign, Stephen Maggio, going to be outside in 10th. Austin Doran, Michael Walls, 11th and 12th as the rest of the field comes by. Green flag out here at Wild West Motorsports Park for turn 1. And Devin Frank has already set himself apart. Battle for second, as Wyatt Roberts and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer take to this 4th corner up the hill. And Jonathan Jurgensmeyer points his way to the bottom, and I'm surprised we didn't have more contact in turn 1. There weren't any flipping trucks as they were coming off the first corner. They run up the hill. Jurgensmeyer in control for second. Frank already pulling away. Best battle inside the top 9. Drake and Michael Walls back to the corner. And how about 3 wide? Brad Sawinski down the bottom on the straightaway to turn 1. And more 3 wide behind him. And lots of carnage as they're coming off of the corner. Malachi Drake back in 10th. Michael Walls trying to steal away an 8th spot from Connor Trafari. There's the look on board from Trafari. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide here at Wild West. And Trafari, lots of time back to Andretti Robinson. It's nearly 3 seconds to the 7th place truck. And now they're going to go door to door for what's going to be P6. Robinson going down the inside. That a white, orange, and red Pro 2 Lite, and this purple wild hair, number 36 of Rivera's down the bottom in 1. It is a hairpin turn, and you start going up the hill. A little bit later after these set of corners, you'll come down at turn 2 off of these jumps, and it's a drive into turn 3 off of a jump that unsettles the truck, as we got a 4-truck pack with Gabriel Dahari right in front in P4, and AJ Hyder fighting to the inside. How many times have we seen these two go at it? The Houston Texan getting bullied out of the way. The 48 of AJ Hyder to the front off of what's going to be turn 3. And again, a 10-lap feature in this qualifying race. And already sideways, AJ Hyder off to turn 1 as Dahari makes his way down low. Devin Frank has opened up his gap to nearly 3 seconds on top of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Wyatt Roberts has maintained second, not too far behind. He's been in striking distance since. Hyder and Dahari running for 4th. And then Andretti Robinson has cleared Cody Riveras. They're actually catching up to the 72 truck as they're coming off of turn 2. So potential more action here. Connor Trafari back in 8th. And just had barely gotten around Michael Walls and James Bomar, Malachi Drake, which has now ignited this fight for 11th. Again, Drake the winner in the All-Star Open, trying to put himself in a good qualifying effort. Once we get to the main race tonight, And again, the running order in this race at the checker flag will decide where you start. So 11th for Malachi Drake means 11th when we take the green at Texas, or Kentucky rather. And James Beaumont right behind in 12th place. Here's our Charlie Bauer photography onboard camera. Rivers Jones, 26 truck, back in 13th. You can tell just how aggressive these bumps are here at Wild West. All of that old dirt being kicked up down to the inside. You'll see that darker edge of the racetrack from the outside. A lot of drivers try to put their right rear tire on that. It's sort of like hitting the cushion on oval dirt racing because you put so many trucks around the main interior lanes, the fastest way around Wild West. It's going to slicken up over the course of the run, and things really do get difficult when you're sliding this truck very quickly in a race that continues to wear down the track surface as we move forward. Of course, dirt's very different from the asphalt side of things in the way in which you got to drive it, of course, but number two, the way moisture hits these tracks as well. Moisture matters so much in terms of early race grip, and then as you put trucks around and you start whipping them around either the oval or Wild West in this road course configuration, you've got a lot of slickened up racetrack, and these trucks, the Pro 2 lights, don't really like the sideways movement, especially with slickened up dirt. They'll start to kick more sideways, and it's just therefore much harder to plant in the throttle in the middle of the corner. As there's a look at Connor Trafari. All those medals on his neck as he rides around Wild West. Just beats Andretti Robinson for what's going to be P6 on the racetrack as they come up the hill. And so far, the closest battles seem to be just inside of this top 10. Malachi Drake hounding on the back end of the speed truck. That orange machine up in front, Brad Sawinski wide. Here comes straight contact with Michael Walls. They'll go sailing to the inside. And now in the middle, James Beaumont surges up to turn one. A 2-for-1 effort into the first corner. And Michael Walls probably not too happy about that. Back down the inside. More contact to Beaumont, leveling them off down the hill. And a crazy drive through the hairpin turn two. Look at all that rotation. Now more contact to the inside truck. As Malachi Drake, that Red Bull machine, is not going to give it up quite easily. Beaumont slinging him off the side of the racetrack. And Beaumont, Drake, continue his fight for 10th. It's been a lot of fun with 3 laps to go. And in his own zip code is the crunch truck of Devin Frank. He is now more than 5.5 seconds clear of the rest of this group in the top 3. AJ Hyder has left Wyatt Roberts a bit in the dust, so the 42 car drops one more. And Devin Frank set to be the pole sitter at Kentucky on the oval later on tonight. As Juergensmeyer holds on to second, a great start it would be for the 00 machine. Of course, captured that podium effort at Texas just last Thursday. Had some good top 10 runs and has had one career SAAC Cup Series victory at Talladega. Well, it's not about points and it's not about eliminator chase spots that Juergensmeyer is going to look for as a full-time driver. He's going to want those $50 and the bragging rights to have that momentum heading into the mid-season madness portion of the campaign when we go road course racing at Portland the week after. But not too far behind, there's AJ Hyder, one of the quickest cars of the season, and the winner at Iowa Speedway several weeks back. Is trying to capture the gold here in this All-Star main. And through the qualifying race with 2 laps to go, he will have a very good shot at the Haas truck. Hits the inside barrier in the middle of turn 2. Crossover to turn 3. Hyder is there. Look at just how much fun this Wild West Motorsports Park is to drive. Here's the look on board from Austin Duran. And all those medals on his neck as he tries to chase down the 12th place truck. That's Michael Walls. And then right in front, of course, James Beaumont. That fight with Malachi Drake has settled nicely. They're now single file inside this top 10. And Devin Frank, the fastest truck of them all, has extended the gap to 7.5 seconds. He has been on a tear. And these 10 laps go quick at a short road course like this on the dirt. Devin Frank, nearly a full second faster than the other qualifiers in this field, has stepped up to the challenge And on the dirt road discipline, Devin Frank has been lights out. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer trying to play more defense and hold the fence on AJ Hyder for the P2 spot. But into the final several corners from Wild West Motorsports Park, checkered flag. Devin Frank is going to come away with the victory. He will sit on the pole for the main race later tonight from Kentucky. Battle for second decided. Jurgensmeyer crossing the line, runner-up. And some of our other best battles have singled out. Dahari in 5th, Roberts falls to 4th. Andretti Robinson, P6, Connor Trafari 7th. Cody Rivera in 8th, Malachi Drake 9th. And Brad Sawinski for the rest of the running top 10. So Devin Frank comes away with the win, celebrating here from Wild West Motorsports Park. And we'll figure out the rest of the orders. They are stacking it up in the middle of the corners as we end up with our qualifying running order. So 10 laps done here from Wild West Motorsports Park, and here is how the field will be come the green flag later on tonight in the main race from Kentucky, with 50 laps on, or $50 rather, on the line. Devin Frank the winner by a dominant margin, nearly 9.5 seconds to Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. AJ Hyder back in 3rd, Wyatt Roberts 4th. Gabriel Dahari your top 5, with Andretti Robinson P6, Connor Trafari 7th, Cody Riveris, Malachi Drake, and Brad Sawinski the rest of the running top 10. And everybody 11th on back, just settling where they were. They didn't really move all too much in this race. James Bomar 11th, Michael Walls in 12th, Austin Duran 13th, Rivers Jones 14th, Ethan Fonseca Moreno lined up exactly where he started in this race, top 15, with Shockey Tarpley moving up to 16th, Stephen Maggio 17th, Amir Bascombe, Larry Miles, and Ellis Wells will close out the rest of the top 20 and the official running order after 10 green flag laps from the off-road side of things. So with that, we will take another break and go All-Star Main Racing from the virtual Kentucky Speedway. Had a bit of a detour, and Devin Frank will sit on the pole when we take the green later on tonight. Don't go anywhere. More coverage of the SAAC Cup Series All-Star Race from Kentucky comes your way on the other side.
available now.
Let's go racing!
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
There's only one fuel that can drive the performance you demand from your car. New 94 Octane, the highest octane on the market, only at Sunoco.
Let's go. What's up? What's up, Kenneth? How's it going, man? How are you? Good. How you been? What you got in the bag, man?
I got a panini, I have a hoagie, I got it all through the Wall Rewards app.
You can order it all through the app?
You can order it all through the app.
I can order it all through the app. The world is my oyster! By placing your order on the Wawa app, you can pick up at any time with ultimate satisfaction. Gotta have a Wawa. And just one more race to go. Back in Kentucky, welcome back to coverage of the SAAC Cup Series All-Star Race as we try to decide that one lucky driver that will come home with $50 in their back pocket. We just went dirt off-road racing in Wild West Motorsports Park. Devin Frank getting the win. He will be the pole sitter when we get the green flag later on in this session. But for now, back to oval racing and back to stock cars. So back in this format with a chance for drivers to get the grand prize at the end of it, and it will be a lot of fun when we do so. A quick reminder of the format before we go green: 67 laps here from the 1.5 miles in Sparta, Kentucky. The winner takes all, $50 for the winner. Nobody else gets any prize, and the bragging rights will also go to the man with the checkered flag in hand by the time it is all said and done. So lots of cool things to be considered here at this very old and legacy version of this Kentucky track that was opened back in 2000 and gave way for renovations later on in its life. Has not hosted a NASCAR Cup Series race in many years already, but should be the great stage nonetheless for this race tonight. Lots of great names in this field. Several different race winners this year, including Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who will line up 15th after finishing that way in the Wild West Motorsports Park qualifying race with the Pro 2 lights. Las Vegas winner Gabriel Dahari, Iowa winner AJ Hyder, and a lot of the rest of the drivers are in it as well. So plenty of guys that you see week in and week out here in the SAAC Cup Series will take the green flag, and it will be a ton of fun. Let's go down to the KBueno track map with images provided to us by Google Earth. This Kentucky Speedway opened back in 2000 in Sparta. It became a NASCAR mainstay ever since its opening then, but has not hosted a NASCAR Cup Series race in a long while. The banking is the biggest thing of notice. It's very different on the renovated surface of Kentucky. It is the same all the way around on the legacy version that we will drive here tonight. So it's all about speed, but it's all about maintaining tire wear and maintaining your car on a very bumpy track surface that was never built to have next-gen cars race on it, but we're going to have that combo regardless. And to get a better look as to how to drive this Kentucky Speedway, I went around earlier in the practice session to kind of get a feel of what it's like to drive this machine around this 1.5 miles. So you dive in a 4th gear. It is a sharp radii in turns 1 and 2. You got to make sure you dart all the way to that yellow line. You can take the throttle all the way to the wall. You see I nearly carried the right front into the safer barrier, but you roll down the straightaway up to 5th gear, back down to 4th to get as much of the engine braking as possible. Arc down low. You can carry much more throttle in 3 and 4 by the early braking entry, and then it's just straight up a drive to the start-finish line. It's a very unique track in its own right, very abrasive, and one to which we've seen problems already come up for a bulk of the field in that All-Star Open race, given the amount of attrition. So at Kentucky, lots of great memories on the KBueno Racing Network, but a lot of them are very old. Our last race here happened back in November of 2020, where Malachi Drake, who won the All-Star Open earlier on tonight, was able to save just enough gas to make it to the start-finish line first in a highly contested opening playoff race for the Red Line Racing League in today's KBRN Moment in Time. Welcome to today's KBRN Moment in Time. This moment comes from all the way back in 2020 and the Red Line Racing League playoff event from Kentucky. Dylan Alt and Vicente Salas will be the first two to lead them to the green flag, and they'll double up all the way through as we say, let's go racing, I guess, from Kentucky. This race was the opener for the Red Line Racing League playoffs, with Coke Series drivers Dylan Alt and Vicente Salas leading early. Trouble would come at lap number 41 with a spinning Aaron Brown off turn 4, but from there it was all green flag. As strategy kicked in and as the leaders came down, Blaze McKinney would stay out until eventually he had to pit, opening the door for none other than Malachi Drake. In a fuel-saving masterclass, Drake just barely had enough to make it, and with a little help of the line, Drake came away as the stunner and the winner. While there haven't been many broadcasted races at the virtual Kentucky Speedway on the KBueno Racing Network, this was still one of the best moments in that 2020 year, with Red Line gaining so much momentum. And that's today's KBRN Moment in Time. Great look at our KBRN Moment in Time from the virtual Kentucky Speedway. And as far as I know on this channel, we have not covered a race at the legacy version of Kentucky. We have only run races and broadcasted races on the renovated green-walled version of Kentucky that has the different banking in turns 1 and 2 to make it much faster. But for the rest of the history of the KBRN, we have not run in Kentucky, at least in most of the leagues, ever since NASCAR phased it out of its schedule. A lot of the other stock car racing leagues did the same. So, frankly, it's going to be a matter of trying to figure out how to handle this track for most of the field, as some of them are buying this track for the very first time in the lead-up to tonight's event, which is 67 laps strong. Just about 7.5 minutes left in the warm-up session. Many of the drivers trying to pit in their best laps. And through the practice session that we had earlier on this evening before the Open, we had many different guys who were already locked into the main race, just put in laps there anyway, because all that experience is good experience to try to be faster by the end of the long run. And in a very overcast night here in Sparta, Kentucky in Sim, very different conditions to what we saw in that practice session, but it should still be the same track and the same challenge, all in the same ride as AJ Hyder leads them all. But again, that will be null and void, as Devin Frank will have the pole sitting spot when we get to the green in this format. So one of the consistent drivers over the course of the regular season here in the SAAC Cup Series, and one who hasn't found a W yet, looking for his first, even if it's unofficially, is Steven Maggio, the defending series champion. Has come close several different times, but has not found the checkered. We'll start at Indianapolis, the Brickyard, in which he decided, yeah, pit road is not going to be for me. On this pivotal stop with Ethan Fonseca Moreno and the rest of the field, he would take the lead and be up front for a majority of the race midway, until the carnage came out with Malachi Drake spinning off of turn 1, collecting Maggio. And although he didn't pick up too much damage off that crash in 1 and 2, it was enough to take him out of contention. Then flash forward to Iowa Speedway, another hard charge for the defending champ, slicing his way through the top 5, getting as high as the top 3, right behind Austin Duran and Gabriel Dahari, before the alternate pit stop would send the Aris Toyota back to the front again. Maggio would be in that clean air, lead a bunch of the laps. Many of the cautions came out. It was AJ Hyder in front on the fresh tires after, and Maggio just had to deal with the second place then. You even think to the race at Texas Motor Speedway, one in which Moreno, the fellow friend and good alliance member with Steven Maggio, the 4-time race winner this season, has been able to shine. Maggio, the defending champ, has been close, but hasn't been able to find that shining moment in order to get at least one checkered flag this season. So if he can win tonight from Kentucky, all good on him. He'll be $50 richer, number one. But number two, maybe more confidence as we get into the rest of the regular season, where that mid-season madness bracket tournament is really going to shake up intensity, but it's also going to shake up the drivers that will potentially go to victory lane, or could see very well lots of different winners when we trail back into 2025 and make it all happen. But Madja will have to roll from pretty deep in this field. 17th is where he is going to start. It is going to be a long road to making his way to the top spot. And we'll see just how he is able to do exactly that. The drivers continuing to put their best laps forward in warm-up, get a feel for these cars around this virtual Kentucky Speedway. We will take one more short break and be right back with more coverage of the SAAC Cup Series and the All-Star Affair from the Bluegrass Stadium.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back live from the virtual Kentucky Speedway, just moments away from the green flag of the All-Star main race. 67 laps for a chance for one driver to capture $50 by the time this race is all said and done. If you haven't been tuning us with us yet on the KBueno Racing Network, you missed out on a lot. The All-Star Open went into the hands of Malachi Drake. Him, Shockey Tarpley, who finished in second, and the All-Star fan vote winner Ellis Wells were able to advance forward. And then through the All-Star qualifying race at Wild West Motorsports Park with the Pro 2 lights, Devin Frank was able to skirt away from the field in dominant fashion. Now he will be the pole sitter as we come down to the final minute and a half here in Q. And joining me for this All-Star main race is our good friend Francisco Bacallao. Francisco, welcome. It feels like you missed a lot, but I'm sure you were getting feeds of info at least a little bit over the course of the night. It has been a really fun All-Star race so far. We've had that open race that was very chaotic, lots of yellows and an overtime restart, then an all-green affair on the off-road dirt side of things, and now they got to switch disciplines again and come forward with a chance at All-Star win #1 or more here in the 4th season of SAAC.
Yeah, happy to be here, Kenneth, and it sounds like it's been chaotic here so far this evening between the Open and that qualifying format. I just wrapped up an NIS race from Watkins Glen, so I'm ready to join up in the booth and be ready for the main show here.
It is going to be a lot of fun. Plenty of big names, as I mentioned before we went to break. Of course, AJ Hyder, the Iowa Speedway winner. We've got Connor Trafari, Sonoma Raceway winner. Steven Maggio, who has been so close to winning a race or two this season, but hasn't been able to get there yet. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who seems to be the unstoppable force this season with 4 race victories, and the most recent winner in our last points-paying effort at Texas Motor Speedway last Thursday. And the list continues. Gabriel Dahari, strong in mostly all tracks, winner at Las Vegas. You know, Wyatt Roberts, winner at Daytona, ended up in the top 5 at the end of that all-star qualifying race on the off-road dirt side of things, so with a chance to maintain track position and go away with the win. Lots of the big-time names are here, but they've qualified, they've put themselves on the grid, and now it's time to run for the grand prize of the $50 and a checkered flag in hand. So warm-up will come to a close here from Sparta, Kentucky, and we are just getting into the moments for the green flag here tonight, as we'll take you through tonight's starting grid once again as they lined up at the checkered flag of the Wild West Motorsports Park Pro 2 Light affair. On the pole, it is Devin Frank, who scurried away from the field by over 9 seconds. He will have the pole coming to the green flag tonight. Jonathan Juergensmeyer, top 3 effort at Texas Motor Speedway last week. He'll be on the outside of the front row to the green flag. Back in row 2 is AJ Hyder, winner from Iowa multiple weeks ago in 3rd. Wyatt Roberts, the Daytona International Speedway winner. He'll be outside in 4th to the green flag before Gabriel Dahari and Andretti Robinson bring in inside and outside of the 3rd row. Dahari, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway winner, so knows a thing or two about winning at mile-and-a-half tracks. Connor Trafari, Sonoma winner from this season, rolls off from 7th. Cody Riveras in the Golden Live Golf Ford Mustang. His 36 will roll off in 8th. Finalizing your top 10 is the All-Star Open winner, Malachi Drake from 9th, and Brad Sawinski in the 28 will be in 10th.
11th will go to James Beaumont, the number 15, with Michael Walls, the number 24, alongside him in P12. Austin Doran will be rolling off from 13th, with Ethan Fonseca Moreno in the 14th position. Shockey Tarpley will be in the 15th spot alongside Steven Maggio in the number 51. Amir Bascom in the number 21 will be 17th, with Ali Reeves down in the 18th spot. Trevor Haley, who didn't even know he was locked into this race, is going to be rolling off 19th, with Larry Miles, the number 30, in 20th. And rounding out our 21-car field tonight from the old Kentucky Scan will be Ellis Wells, the number 57, winning the fan vote, Kenneth.
He's got all that fan support. Now he's in the race. He was excited to be kicking in with the Pro 2 lights at Wild West earlier on tonight. Now he's got to lock in and try to go for the grand prize at the end of what is going to be 67 laps here from virtual Kentucky. We go just a little over 100 miles from Sparta, and with this leaves a brand new pole sitter, theoretically, Devin Frank in his Pine Sol Crunch number 56 Ford Mustang, with Jonathan Juergensmeyer consistent as always in 2025 on the outside. Prancing horses on the front row here in Sunset, Kentucky, as we will get ready for a Bluegrass State showdown for the All-Star race. It's Frank and Juergensmeyer up at the front row. Stock car racing once again tonight, and it's going to be for the grand prize, 67 laps through the start zone into the green flag. Frank goes underway. We are All-Star Racing from Kentucky, and the pole sitter spins.
And the caution flag has not waved, so we are still under green.
And it's Jonathan Juergensmeyer that will pick up the pieces in turn 1. I don't know if there was contact from the back end of the 56 car. AJ Hyder was ready to go from the inside of row 2. And Juergensmeyer off of turn 4 should come around to lead lap 1.
Unreal situation. It looked like he got a bump and then shortly after just spun the tires. I'm not sure if he misshifted or went to a different gear, but here's the look from AJ Hyder as they're approaching the green flag. There's the bump right here, and then moments after, the car just goes around. Doesn't look like the contact caused it, but just a weird situation all around.
And all of a sudden, whatever advantage Devin Frank had in track position, gone entirely on lap number 2. He has dropped to 20th. Shockey Tarpley, who had advanced through the All-Star Open by finishing 2nd in that race, has dropped all the way back to dead last in 21st. So going to figure out what happened to the 25 on the opening few laps of this race. But Jonathan Juergensmeyer enjoying the clean air at the front. But in chase is AJ Hyder. Back in the top 5 spot is where you'll find the first battle on track. Dahari, that Nintendo Luigi car on the top. And the league owner, Cody Riveras, down the bottom.
There you see Dahari immediately peeking to the inside of Wyatt Roberts, trying to take over that 4th spot. Dahari making some moves here early on in this one. And one thing that's very notable about this racetrack, Kenneth, is that it is extremely bumpy, and you're going to see it on these onboards and even offboard. The cars will just travel up and down vertically, and it could cause some cars to maybe get tight and either get loose, and you have to chase it up the racetrack. So cars going side by side, if the car on the inside either gets tight or loose by hitting the bump wrong, it could end up onto your door.
Fantastic look with our Charlie Bauer photography onboard camera with the Las Vegas Motor Speedway winner in Dahari. And right about here in the middle, 3 and 4, saw plenty of problems, cars getting sideways and off center when they were oscillating through those bumps in 3 in the middle of the All-Star Open race earlier tonight. And so far, no problems here in this main race to speak of yet, as we carry on to the first 2 corners with that diamond cut surface all the way the inside of the racetrack, as Dahari holds on to 4th. Andretti Robinson is stabilized in 3rd, and Wyatt Roberts, who's scheduled to run in the top 5 at the green flag after running in the top 5 from the Wild West Motorsports Park race. We'll see Cody Riveras down the inside, and we'll have a situation settle out for position number 5. So Francisco, trouble more as well for, I believe, Brad Sawinski, potential save. He's now running in 15th.
He was in front of Michael Walls for 7th, and then right there you see as they come off the corner, the 28 gets sideways, and that is the very famous aero packing that we have seen ever since the June build of iRacing. It has been catching drivers left and right at the wrong place at the wrong time, and it looks like he was able to hang on to it in that instance.
Sawinski drops through the mid-pack. He'll be around the level of Bascombe, Ollie Reeves, the 31 and the 21, as they're all within a couple of tenths of each other. Sawinski's still in chase of the 14th place car, and he's still about a car length or so behind. There's Ethan Fonseca Moreno darting to the inside of Connor Trafari in a 4-car pack that includes the fan vote winner Ellis Wells and the Austin Drawn number 52 Winn-Dixie Chevrolet that's in the background, the man who had run 2nd for a majority of the opening stint at Iowa and then unfortunately crashed after overcorrecting into the outside wall of fate, similar to this Chris Lilly Designs number 9 car, 3 wide in the middle off of turn 4, and Moreno, the 4-time winner, will sketch out ahead as they chase back to turn 1. And Ellis Wells definitely enjoyed the fact that he had all that support for him, because this was the result for the fan vote after 8 o'clock Eastern time. Ellis Wells with over 1,200 points as a result of all of the fan vote bonuses that he got. Alexander Schumacher was just 1 short and could not capture any of the top 2 spots at the end of the Open, so he ended up missing. Same deal for Duncan Fall as well. The 61 car struggled to get going in the Open, and Shockey Tarpley, who did not get through with the fan vote, but did make it through, finishing in the top 2. He is in this race tonight. We mentioned he is all the way back in 21st, dead last. So that was how the 57 was able to get into this race, via all of that support. I think it's really cool to have fan vote support Francisco in series like this, because these are drivers who, spend a lot of their time on iRacing. Maybe they're just getting their careers together, and to have their family, their friends support them on a Google form to get them into a race like this where $50 is on the line. I mean, it's not a huge prize, but it is a pretty big prize for a lot of these drivers in the field. Cool to see that Wells was able to take advantage of the fan vote support, and he runs in 10th.
I hear that. It definitely took a while to convince the people around me that, hey, this thing matters to me, and it's actually pretty difficult to handle and do on a regular basis. And with time, one improves, and you start getting that support around you, and they start watching what you do on these broadcasts, on these shows, not just by us, but all over the service. And thankfully now my girlfriend from time to time does watch some of these shows that I show her some highlights from both ourselves and the on-track product. And just, I think these drivers can experience that very same thing, just getting their friends and family allotted in the same place at the same time so they can watch them perform.
And there's a second look. Gabriel Dahari sideways off the back straightaway. A wonderful save for Dahari. Drops back 1. Cody Riveras was able to take the spot, and the 72 car will live to fight another lap with Wyatt Roberts and Stephen Maggio company fighting right behind him for what's going to be 6. But yeah, of course, the support for sim racing drivers, to get family, friends, anyone else involved, I think it's cool to have that support. Obviously, for a lot of us, it is a hobby more than it is a career, and some of us that are able to make a good racing career out of it, or broadcasting career, it's pretty cool. So to have that support for Ellis Wells and for all of the drivers in the top 4 in the fan vote, I mean, give them credit as well to bring in and rally that support for themselves to try and get that fan vote dub. But It looks like Sharky Tarpley was too far back. Duncan Fall didn't have enough, and neither did Alexander Schumacher. So Ellis Walson reaping the benefits of the fan vote support as Steven Maggio has crawled his way to P6. Remember, he has started 16th in this All-Star main race. He had qualified there from the Wild West Motorsports Park Affair with the Pro 2 Lights, a discipline that I'm sure Maggio isn't going to call himself an expert in by any means necessary, but that could be said for maybe 99.5% of the entire field. Devin Frank was the clear and obvious exception, being so dominant. But you can tell just how much speed Maggio has off the get-go, moving up 10 since the drop of the green, 13 laps in.
Notable driver that used to race in that series, both in the sim and in real life, is a former KBueno driver, Luke Canup. He is known for racing those Pro 2 lights, and as Michael Walls gets sideways big time off of turn 2, tries to hang on to it, and he's going to spin in front of the field, and there goes the 52 of Austin Doran. Big front end damage as Michael Walls tags the inside wall towards the tail end of it, and huge damage for Austin Doran. Michael Walls looks like he might not have too big of a damage, but still, that will bring out the first caution of tonight's All-Star race, Kenneth.
The metals of his neck were rattling off with a T-bone off of turn 2, and for as good of a race as Austin Doran was having, it is going to go sour. 15 laps in the books with the spinning car up in front. And we'll take a secondary look at it as they were coming off of turn 2. So it's that bright purple and yellow, or bright purple and gold number 24. Michael Walls, that LSU car down the inside. I'm sure Keelan would like that paint scheme, but it is damaged now on the inside of Roberts. And yeah, the car just steps out from underneath him in the attempt to save it. Tries to get it off the inside wall. And I think Doran, Francisco, just thought that Walls was going to shoot the hole up the racetrack. Doran perhaps thought that he was going to clear by going low, but it was too early of a call, and Doran most likely will be out of the main All-Star race tonight.
Yeah, he saw Micah go down and then shoot back up, and he thought, man, he's going to end up in front of me, and he just tried to take some kind of avoiding action. Unfortunate for him, he just happened to drive right into him, and that is a terrible feeling for Austin Doran, thinking that he had that miss and just ends up getting right into it, as we do have our first set of pit stops for the evening onto pit road. Looks like a couple cars may have had to back up into their stalls to make sure they get in it right. It's a short race. You don't want to make that many mistakes, especially on pit road with the way that these cars are post-update. You want the track position as much as you can get. And here's the race off pit road. Looks like Jurgensmeyer keeps the lead. Maggio creeps up to third, or actually it's up to fourth as Dahari gets out in third. Brad Sawinski with a strategy to get up into fifth. It looks like not everybody doing the same thing up and down pit lane.
It looks like the top 6 have gone for 2 fresh Goodyear Eagles. Everybody else 7th on back, starting with AJ Hyder. They have elected 4 fresh tires and fuel to make it to the end of this 67-lapper. And this is a similar call that was made in the All-Star Open race. There were a lot of drivers who hit pit road, and while Drake had stayed out and didn't pit at all to win the Open earlier on tonight, the rest of the field who pitted, a lot of them got 2 fresh tires, the rest of them got 4, so it was an obvious split decision, and it seems like we are living the same race again, because Larry Miles in the 30 car started deep in this field. He has not come down to pit road at all, and he is not second-guessing this decision either. So Larry Miles, the SAAC Cup Series Toyota Camry, will inherit the race lead when the lights go off on the iRacing official pace car, and I believe Malachi Drake, former Kentucky winner on the KBueno Racing Network from the Redline Racing Series that you saw in our moment in time, it looks like he is revisiting pit road. So potential missed fuel, missed tires, something for Drake was missing. Now he's back on the lane.
And now doubled up, you have Larry Miles in the 30 who stayed out. He is the only driver to stay out under this caution, so he's on the oldest set of tires right now. We'll see how he handles this restart with the aero packing, if he's able to get a decent enough launch to try and get away from it, but also how can he handle the clean air?
Going to be a big-time decision, but Larry Miles, probably taking off in the same track that Malachi Drake did, knowing the Open and how that went at the end. And the caution certainly helped out in keeping that track position, but it was really more about staying up in front in that clean air where it really matters the most. Michael Walls, that damaged race car, is back in 20th. Austin Doran has not fallen a lap down, so he is staying in this race for now. He is 21st, so all 21 cars who started this race remain as we get our first green flag restart at lap number 18. Two Toyotas down the first 2 rows of the inside lane. A big-time checkup and a crash. Steven Maggio, Gabriel Dahari spin off of the checkup as they were coming to the restart. Absolute chaos.
Him and Dahari, so the pair of teammates in trouble. And that is going to be a huge setback for them.
There's Dahari's reaction. I'm not sure if he reacted at all, but he's got front nose damage off of that huge mix-up as they were coming to the green flag. I have no idea what happened there, but Larry Miles was just trying to get going. He woed up. The rest of the field tried to follow, and it was just a stack-up that could not be avoided here. Watch the 30 car. He goes a little too early in the zone. Then in comes Dahari into the back end of Jurgensmeyer, and as he gets loose, he tags along his fellow teammate, Steven Maggio, for the spill, and that is how it all happens. Jurgensmeyer will retain the race lead, and here's a look from Steven Maggio. He's that second car inside of row 2.
Yeah, the 30 went early, and he noticed that and lifted, but at that point, everybody was going to go off of him, and they all just accordioned up, and unfortunately for Maggio and for Dahari, they just got the worst deal of that entire situation. You could look at the onboard of Larry Miles and look at the RPMs, and you'll see exactly what happened.
Here's a look from Tarpley, though, behind. He doesn't see it until it's right in front of his face. And he just barely gets tagged by the spinning Dahari down the banking on this front straightaway. And it's just a huge blunder for Larry Miles. Again, had stayed out hoping that the track position gain would be enough for him. But watch this. And he just went too late. And the car lets everyone else stack up behind him. And it's Gabriel Dahari who ends up in that worst place, tagging along his teammate Maggio. And those two will be all the way at the back with significant damage. They will gain spots because a lot of other guys have hit pit road. That does include Tarpley. That does include Larry Miles, who will pit for the first time here. He's back in 21st. But a big-time problem. And Steven Maggio telling us in YouTube chat, livid. That's the word to describe his emotions right now.
And absolutely valid to feel that way considering what occurred on that restart. And now he has to claw his way back through the entirety of the field once more. As if we can get a second look at the exact onboard look from Larry Miles. So there's the pace car heading off pit road. And Larry Miles is holding first gear just over that first yellow line. You see right there he accelerates, goes up to second, and then he holds it off there. Doesn't do anything else, and that's what causes the stack up behind.
And I wonder if race control will give him any sort of penalty for that, or whether it was just a mistake on behalf of Miles and they're going to let it slide in this all-star race. But with 47 laps to go, that takes out two considerable big names that could have been in charge for the win, and two very fast cars in the opening segment. Maggio and Dahari will have to settle for mid-pack racing when we get this green flag restart. Maggio will be in 15th. Dahari, who was just coming off of pit road now, avoiding being put a lap down, he will drop to what is going to be just about 18th on the racetrack, as we just had another DNF, or our first, and it may have just been Ollie Reeves. We'll keep in touch, but I believe that may be connection issues for car number 31. Man, Francisco, that's tough. I don't think I've ever seen that big of a hiccup on the restart, but it was Larry Miles who ended up in trouble, and he will stay in this race, although it will be a huge hemorrhage. There he is on the front straightaway, just trying to bring the field together. And it's going to be Jonathan Jurgensmeyer at the head of this house, with Brad Sawinski on the outside, who started in the top 10 in this main race, with AJ Hyder and the gaining time Ethan Fonseca Moreno car, who's going to be on the outside in row 2. Again, the choose cone rule is in effect for the SAAC Cup Series races, and that is not exclusive to regular season points-paying races only. This all-star race also has that choose rule at the start-finish line. Pace car down, Jurgensmeyer once again in control. Early bumps from Hyder and the rest of the field, and another spill. Jurgensmeyer goes around. He'll bring Moreno with him, and the caution comes out instantaneously.
And AJ Hyder went way too early, kept bumping Jurgensmeyer, and that caused that whole entire incident.
What is happening here from Kentucky? Some bad juju all across the board, and another leader gets spun on the restart. It happened at first with the pole sitter, Devin Frank, who went around off the rear end. with AJ Hyder giving him the bump, and it is a mirror image situation as they were coming to the restart zone. Here's a secondary look at it, and look at Hyder, that second car on the inside. He is pushing Juergensmeyer with all that he's got, and it's not going to look pretty when the whole field is there.
Yeah, I think this one, unfortunately for Hyder, is pretty clear what happened, and unfortunately, plenty of cars got taken out in this one. The big winner being Brad Sawinski, who takes the race lead in all of this. Ethan Fonseca Moreno had nowhere to go in all that. Juergensmeyer couldn't do anything, just gets hit 2, 3, 4 times and then gets spun up to the outside into him.
And it's also not like Hyder had been pushed from behind by Roberts. This was an independent decision to try and push Juergensmeyer through the restart zone, but obviously the 00 had not gone, and we'll try to get another look at it this time from the front end of the 00 car. And you'll see here at Kentucky, I mean, this old version doesn't have that Geico restart zone that the new one does. There are 2 white lines down there, though, and 2 black lines on the wall. That is the restart box to start going. The leader is, of course, always in discretion to let the field go up to full song entering turn 1, but AJ Hyder was too impatient, and he just ran over the back end of Juergensmeyer, and the 48 car in turn will most likely either be penalized or just will lose all that track position. He is giving way to the rest of the field, so indeed an end-of-line penalty given by race control to AJ Hyder for causing that carnage, and now Juergensmeyer going to drop all the way back to 14th. Moreno with the most damage of them all in this incident. He's back in 20th.
And I'm not sure exactly how recently a lot of these drivers did join the service. I know that when I joined in 2020, there was still none of these Geico restart zones. The way it was traditionally done was anytime between the pace car entering the pit lane and the green lights, that was free for you to be able to go and launch in. So I'm not sure if this Kentucky scan still follows that rule, considering there's no Geico linings as if it's coded as such.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't think that small restart zone that is visible by the 2 red lines and the single red line marking what used to be the restart zones back in the old days, I don't think that's the actual zone coded to this racetrack with the old scan. I think it's still the traditional when the pace car leaves to at any point when the green light turns on. So I think Juergensmeyer there was probably trying to wait until the green light. AJ Hyder probably saw the red lines on the outside and thought, okay, we can go, and that's what caused it.
Yeah, I really want to know from the driver base if that restart zone effect is coming to rule here at this old version of Kentucky. Again, this is a very old track surface. 2011 is when iRacing scanned it and released it on the service, and then they made that new Kentucky with the renovated track surface and the new configuration. Remember, they had elevated the banking in 1 and 2, and they made it a different build so you can go faster at the first sector of the racetrack, and they kept it rather the same in 3 and 4, which gave Kentucky those characteristics in the final years of hosting NASCAR Cup Series races. But here in this track, it hasn't been used in so many years because in the last several years of NASCAR running it and officials running it, it was the new surface with the new scan and the new artwork. So this track has been decreased price-wise on iRacing a lot over the last few years, and I believe it's down to what, $2-3 to buy this track on iRacing because it is so old and it's so unused. I'd really be curious to see if a restart zone is in effect or whether it's that leader that comes by, because AJ Hyder was maybe thinking Juergensmeyer would go a little earlier, or that the pushes would tell Juergensmeyer, hey, let's go, I'm in a rush. Now AJ Hyder has front end nose damage, and Juergensmeyer is further back in the field. Let's try and clean this up for the restart. Brad Sawinski, Cody Rivera, screen flag.
A lot better this time for sure, as they're able to get away clean through the initial part of the restart. Nobody really bumping each other all too aggressively. I think everybody was being a little bit more patient that time, hoping that they could get back to green flag action after those sets of cautions. And there you see cars onto the outside wall.
Touch of the wall, Ellis Wells. Now they're nearly 3 wide, and they're going to be Devin Frank in the middle. Contact with Wells, who will save it in 3. James Bomar ahead, he'll take 5th.
He's side by side with Frank as they're almost making contact. Just in front of them is Trevor Haley in the number 19, who before this race started had no idea he had somehow been locked in previously, was not supposed to run in the open. And now the number 19 Toyota finds himself up, or the number 19 Chevy finds himself all the way up in the top 5.
And now they're crashing.
Oh, and there's a wreck.
Devin Frank sideways off the back straightaway. Wells, Bascombe, Drake, and almost everybody in the back end of the pack will spill on the backstretch, bringing out our most recent yellow with 40 laps to go.
And a big crash off of 2 is going to bring us under the yellow flag again. We thought it was going to be good enough to go finally a couple laps under green, but unfortunately it does not appear to be so. Devin Frank with the big piece of it, the pole sitter. And it looks to have started with where that battle was initially going on with James Bomar, Devin Frank, and Steven Maggio. Those 3 cars were in the vicinity of one another. There's Bomar on the bottom, and his car just leaves the bottom of the racetrack, barely gets into Devin Frank, who tries saving it. But of course, with Maggio right on his bumper, the air was just enough to not allow him to save it. And then next thing you know, everyone's piling in.
Ethan Fonseca Moreno just shoving into the incident right at the end. Remember, he had picked up that damage from the last crash that literally just happened. And it's Devin Frank, the pole sitter tonight, again involved in trouble just as he was gaining the position that he lost. And there was somebody that just got through it. It was Connor Trafari, the 9 car. Watch this from his perspective.
Oh, man. I don't want to call how that close that was.
Nowhere to hide except there for the 9 car. Him and a majority of the others get away from it scot-free. And although Trafari still has damage on the front end of his car, it's not enough to take him out. He will revisit pit road alongside plenty of other drivers. It's going to come down to what's going to be a majority of those drivers, mostly 10th on back, even further up the road, that will be asserting their cars, whether it be through damage or whether it be through some fuel that can make it to the end of the race for them. Here's a look on the right side of your screen. Steven Maggio, who was right in the middle of this. Remember, he had seen the contact.
There's the contact there, and then right there, Frank sideways, barely gets into Frank, gets into him again, and that's what sends the rest of them around. And there they start piling on through. Maggio was able to get away with relatively no damage on his race car.
Involved in trouble, Gabriel Zahari also scooted away from that. He had barely gotten tagged, by the way, as they were coming down the banking itself, cleaning a bit down the straightaway. And more trouble precedes this restart that will come around potentially lap 31 here from Kentucky. Let's try and get a word with the All-Star Open race winner. That is Malachi Drake, who joins us now. And Malachi, I know it hasn't gone well in this main race so far, involved in couple crashes, and it's been rather chaotic, but through the All-Star Open win, how much confidence did you have leading into this main race, and what are the thoughts as you guys step through halfway?
Yeah, I thought the Open went well for me. I just tried to stay out of trouble in the Open, and I was kind of hoping to try to do the same thing here, because people were being really, really aggressive, and I knew that in the Open that if I stayed out, it was probably better than pitting and being back in the hornet's nest. And this race didn't quite work out like that, and I'm not sure what happened on that last yellow. That just is all big stack up in front of me, but we'll try to salvage something. If we get some more yellows, maybe get the car fixed, and I never know.
Well, hopefully it goes well for you, Malachi. A great open race, a great strategy call, and hopefully things turn around in the back half of this All-Star main. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Malachi Drake in the 90 car, winner of the Open by not taking a single pit stop, is going to be at the very back end of this train in 16th place. They will be single file as they came down pit road the last time by, and it is Brad Sawinski still in control of this race, and a similar look to earlier Cody Riveras on the outside of the front row. Coming to the halfway mark here in this All-Star main race from Sparta, Kentucky. More checkups down the bottom, but this time a cleaner start. The Rally House Chevrolet clearing away in the top spot to turn 1.
And Jonathan Juergensmeyer had to put the block on there to Austin Doran, as they're now 3 wide with AJ Hyder through the middle, trying to squeeze his way through. Larry Miles sideways in front of Juergensmeyer, tries to save his race car, does a good job of hanging on to it. And that was nearly a close call on the front of the field. So much chaos going on here on these restarts with cars getting sideways, as there's 3 wide for 4th place. Trevor Haley on the outside, Gabriel Tahari in the middle with Ollie Reeves down that bottom.
Ollie Reeves in the meme car. That Chevrolet down low pointing to turn 1. Cody Riveras had a near run to the race leader and is going to try the crossover here off of turn 2. He may just have it down the back straightaway. The Live Golf Ford Mustang is there, and he swivels down low. Here comes the 36. Riveras for the lead.
But with that outside lane, it's just you're able to hold a lot more speed and momentum where Sawinski's running right now. And you can see him just, even though he sweeps high on exit like that, he's just able to carry so much more momentum and stay clear of the race leader. So we'll see if Rivera continues to try to make this bottom work. It looks like he will. And he's going to get up in there. He has to be careful. He can make some contact or get loose himself, but it looks like it works out for him because he's going to remain door to door.
They are letting third on back catch up. Wyatt Roberts is hanging around the distance, and so is Gabriel Dahari, that bright green Luigi Nintendo Chevrolet. So things could very well get scrappy inside the rest of this top 5. Now under fire is Sawinski from Roberts down the inside of turn 3. Now Dahari makes his way. Points up high. Rivera's in control with just about 33 to go here in this all-star race from Kentucky, and a masterful pass. Dahari getting around Roberts to power out from third.
And look at that. He gets to the outside off of turn 2 for second.
Onboard look from Dahari as he fights Sawinski. The red car down low near contact in the harsh bumps in turn 3. And Dahari, even though was involved in that opening incident off the restart with his teammate Steven Maggio, looks like the cautions that have come out since have allowed the attrition to open the door and open all that space, because there's Maggio, that orange, black, and blue Aflac Toyota Camry now running in the top 5. Sawinski is dropping like a rock at the exit of turn 2. Single file back to where Trevor Haley and Sawinski sit.
And Maggio up to 4th in the same time, so we'll see how long it takes for Dahari and Maggio if they're able to make a run towards Cody Riveras at some point in the next couple of 30 laps or so. And immediately Brad Sawinski down to 7th as he is trying to hang on for dear life. He is on older tires than those cars around him, but so is Trevor Haley, and Trevor Haley's been hanging on nicely. But now, as I say that, there's AJ Hyder going around his outside.
AJ Hyder in the 48 car was causing one of the recent yellows. He pitted 7 laps ago, and the same can be said for the car in front of Steven Maggio, who got bit from that exact strategy at Iowa several weeks ago from that 48 of Hyder. He had stayed out, the cautions came through, and the track position didn't really matter when the green run went long enough, because AJ Hyder found his way down low, and he just never gave up control for his first career SAAC Cup Series victory. So now that they are on the same page, similar goal here as they come off turn 2, beat Wyatt Roberts and try to gain as much of that track position as possible. Maggio flails down low. Hyder nearly was going to push him there in turn 3. Maggio's there. He'll make the move off of turn 4.
That was a classic case of he had to defend in order to attack Wyatt Roberts, because if he doesn't make that move, AJ Hyder makes the move on him, and with that, Maggio moves up to 3rd, and now Hyder has to reset to try and do something about Wyatt Roberts. And slowly but surely, Gabriel Dahari is starting to pick away at your race leader. The gap was around 7 or so tenths, and it has slowly crept down to 0.6 of a second. So keep an eye out for that number 72. It could be a matter of time before him and S51 eventually get up to Cody Riveras and try to battle for the lead.
The onboard look, our Charlie Bauer photography camera with the 51 of Steven Maggio, defending champ. But you're right about Dahari. He is desperately picking up time, and he is now a full 10th faster than Riveras as they cross the start-finish line. You've got 3 different strategies on display in the front-running group up to the podium. 23 laps ago is the last time Cody Riveras hit pit road. Dahari pitted 15 laps ago, and then that 5-lap difference is in favor of Steven Maggio, who pitted 10 laps and counting ago. So it's a very different look inside this top 3, although Maggio hasn't been able to keep up that much with Dahari. He was just about a 10th slower, but potentially saving the rest of his Goodyear Eagles in what is now, Francisco, our longest green flag run of the night.
Took a while, but we got here. And now with 27 laps to go in this very quick and short all-star race, Cody Riveras is going to have the track position. The question is, can he defend? And how much does he have to defend with? At least for now, it looks to like he's maintaining decently well on Gabriel Dahari, as Steven Maggio now drifts back a little bit from Dahari. AJ Hyder is going to try and close the gap up towards him. You see a little bit of a battle further on behind Trevor Haley, Shockey Tarpley, in the number 25 with Austin Doran, who was just involved in that recent incident. Those two will look to try and battle with the 19 as they go to turn 1. Tarpley to the inside.
Almost a miracle that Doran didn't fall a lot down as a result of getting all that damage repair. His nose was crunched up to the fullest as he T-boned the spinning car on the inside of Michael Walls in one of our recent yellows of the race. But that seems to be one of the greatest battles we're seeing at the moment, apart from what may be the fight for 3rd place. AJ Hyder looking down the bottom shelf on Steven Maggio, so it is going to be a bit of fun here with 26 laps to go. And although they are on that same tire set, they pitted around the same marker of this race. It's AJ Hyder who is going to try to be the aggressor after being put at the end of the longest line for causing that restart accident, to which now both cars have been involved in. Kind of weird to say in a series like this, but these two drivers are doing well for themselves. And I've noticed here at Kentucky, Francisco, it seems to be similar to what we've encountered on even the newer scan of Kentucky that drivers have raced, into which we haven't seen in KBRN action since 2020, but it's still the same characteristic. Maybe in 1 and 2 it's different, but down in 3 and 4, it seems that middle to higher lane seems to be of use and is of advantage. Bottom lane, although it saves tires in the right front better, you can get much more rotation and much more throttle in from the middle, and that's what we're seeing a bit more out of guys like AJ Hyder.
And you got to remember, we'll also see that new Kentucky scan later on in a couple of months when we go there in the 4-wide racing series up in September or early October. I know it's in the early portion of the schedule, so we'll get to see the new scan of Kentucky there for 4-wide action. Slide Job Racing League, which a lot of these drivers in this particular series happen to run on the Tuesday nights, will be here on my birthday, so I can't wait for that one. And it'll give drivers an opportunity to feel out the two different scans, but also try and get some more reps in with that newer scan.
Kentucky is very much an odd critter, if you will, in a series like this. Not showing up often, but seems like the love is coming back to this track in Sparta. Some people clamor that it should come back to the NASCAR Cup Series calendar, but hasn't done so yet. This track owned by SMI, a big owner of a lot of other speedways on the NASCAR circuit. As we ride on board with Cody Riveras, that time is crunching down, and that little hiccup in turn 2 is just one of the many aspects as to why Dahari is just a bit faster. The tires are going away on behalf of the 36 car. He has clocked in what's going to be his 30th straight lap on this set of Goodyear Eagles. Behind them, it's 21 for Dahari, 16 for Steven Maggio, and 16 for the 4th running car of AJ Hyder. So now down to 22 laps to go. It's probably going to become a bit of a strategy fest, Francisco, because 67 laps, you think at a mile and a half, can't really go that if you start the race on your tank, but if you pit at a good enough distance, to which a lot of these drivers have, you could top off and make it to the checkered. Now, on tires, is that going to be a similar case? I'm not sure, and I don't know if Riveras can hang on, because Dahari is closing in 0.4 of a second back to the start-finish line.
Good thing he has going for him is that as the run continues to progress, he'll have the tires kind of equalize as they continue to run and continue to put even more stress through them in the closing stages of the race. So it could be an advantage for Riveras, especially with the clean air, so long as he doesn't really aggressively wear them out by driving too hard out front. There's the view from Gabriel Dahari as he runs down Riveras, and as long as Riveras has this track position, it could make it difficult for Gabriel Dahari. Now, Gabriel has really known for making some great passes, and with the way he is starting to close up out front, it could be a matter of time. But with 20 laps to go, we'll see if Cody Riveras has anything in left.
It's about where Dahari strikes first, and how does he do it? Does he allow Riveras to fight back, and does Steven Maggio have a say in the conversation? There's the onboard look from Dahari as he's focused in on the leader. Look how much dirty air is kicking up on the front end of his 72 car. He can't get rotation in the middle of 3 and 4, and as they come around to the start-finish line to what's going to be 19 laps to go, it is a hard-fought battle for the top spot, and again, 7 car lengths back is where Maggio sits. So any open door could allow that 51 to step in the margin on fresher tires, and still, Dahari cannot find the edge.
And as he gets closer, it's going to be worse for him, but if he can get close enough, it could maybe upset the 36. From that far back, I don't think it's going to happen. The track is definitely cool enough so that it shouldn't be a factor. But slowly but surely, Dahari is going to have to run a different line, try to think about getting a better exit some way, somehow. And if he can do that, it can definitely mount a challenge. There he peeks to the inside, getting that cleaner air. He's going to get nearly up to the back bumper. Riveras gets a little bit sideways, but with how much the tires are worn on that car, it actually could be better for him.
And listen on board with Dahari. As he's 5th gear, he doesn't kick into 4th as soon as he gets in the throttle right there. Center corner, you'll see a lot of other drivers kick into 4th right as they enter the corner to use the engine to slow the car down. But Dahari's using a bit of a different strategy. He's trying to get back in the throttle in the high revs without having to deal with the engine braking. So he stays in 5th until the apex and then clocks into 4th as soon as he's got the car turned. But Riveras really isn't making it easy on him, and he's played that defensive line perfectly. He was running the bottom when Dahari was catching him. now he's moving further up the racetrack in an effort to arc down off turns 2 and 4, and then stay in front to deal Dahari that bit of that dirty air that will change the effect and handling of the car. Steven Maggio hasn't been able to make any inroads on these two yet, so it really hasn't been a matter of a trifecta going at it for the race lead, but a potential different factor could come in the form of lap traffic, Francisco, because up the road, that 36 car has some machines.
Oh, Dahari has a run through 2 here.
Dahari has a good run off turn 2. Does he use it? No, to turn 3.
Rivera was able to just hang on through the exit, but he gets loose into turn 3. And like you mentioned, there is lap traffic ahead. We'll see how much of an impact that plays. Those two drivers are Devin Frank and Ethan Fonseca Moreno.
Devin Frank, the pole sitter, in a race that really hasn't gone his way since he captured the pole and spun on lap 1 before we even got to the first corner. And now he and Moreno will play a distinct role into how this race will play out for $50 of cash. The league owner trying to keep his purse, Dahari trying to steal it away.
I mean, that'd be great if he can win the race so he doesn't have to spend the money.
Yeah, it would be just a spawn point situation.
S-tier thinking.
Infinite stonks for Cody Rivera. So
Yes.
he's able to step away with the win, but it's going to take a lot of effort for sure. Devin Frank, I believe, will step out of the way. He will in turn 1, and this is the first time in a while that Rivera hugs the yellow line. Dahari's got the run off turn 2.
Oh, Rivera's
Can he put
loose.
up tie? Yes, he can. Dahari's there. Dahari to the lead of the All-Star.
Rivera's got loose on the bottom, and that's all it took for the 36 to make that mistake. And Dahari had an easy pass opportunity as now Moreno will get out of the way. And now Gabriel Dahari can set sail with 13 laps to go and hopes that no caution flag ruins this one, because he is going to start pulling away from that 36.
It was that one decision to go lower on the racetrack for Cody Riveras, and that is what changed it all. Dahari had the run, he had the clean air and tap, and now all of a sudden Dahari is in control, coming to 12 laps to go. Steven Maggio runs on the outside in 3rd, AJ Hyder still 4th, and how about the run from Wyatt Roberts? He has let these drivers at the front pull away, but he has maintained 5th. So a top 5 effort in the All-Star race. Very good for the Daytona winner. Watch this. This is what happens as they get through Devin Frank. And that is all the difference.
You see right there when it hit that bump. You saw that bump he hit in particular caused him really to check up. And then another one that got him sideways. And that was all it took for Gabriel Dahari to make that easy pass.
So Dahari breaks free. He's now nearly a second clear as AJ Hyder reignites what's going to be 3rd place on the reins from the defending series champion in Steven Maggio. And can they catch up to Cody Riveras? Potentially in these final few. They've got the better tires, and they haven't used it as much given their aggression, or rather lack of aggression, over the course of this green flag stint. And they are just about 2.5+ seconds away from the 5th place machine in Wyatt Roberts, who's now getting around Devin Frank, and he's holding up a lot of traffic. Shockey Tarpley is there. Austin Doran is running in 7th with all of those medals that he's wearing across his neck. Doran and Trafari getting into the bit of the fun tonight from Kentucky. He'll dial up the inside on the 25. And then Jurgensmeyer, former race leader, going at it with the 45 car, Andretti Robinson. That's just inside that top 10.
A lot of battles up and down this field, as there's the view there from the 52 of Austin Doran as he tries to battle away with Shockey Tarpley, who he has been doing so for most of this particular run after his fair share of incidents earlier on in the night. And you got to remember, Austin Doran, known paint designer in this series. Austin Doran designs, so if you ever want to make your paint scheme, this is someone you can contact.
He made the scheme for James Bomar, who walked away with the advancement into this main race after leading lap 15 at the competition caution in the All-Star Open. And a very good-looking scheme here tonight for Doran in his number 52. And we got the lore for Connor Trafari that he has all of his medals from his karting days, and they were all medals from karting, not from literally anything else. So he gave us a good story then as we were waiting for that Wild West Motorsports Park Pro 2 Light qualifying race to get underway. And I really want to know, curious as to what Doran has, his story behind the medals that he's wearing tonight for this All-Star race. Final 10, crunching down to the final 8 here from Sparta, Kentucky. And Dahari has left Riveras in the sunset. 1.3 seconds between those two. AJ Hyder still not giving up in the potential bid for 3rd as they come to turn 3.
And we'll see if Riveras is able to hang on for at least 2nd as they go past Malachi Drake Hyder might try to attack for third in the process, which I think if you're Cody Rivera, you want AJ Hyder to try and battle for third, because that can maybe hold them off just long enough to where they can't get past you. And with 7 laps to go, that could be the case. Look at Hyder charge up to that third lane, and we've seen in real life at the old Kentucky layout that they would use that third, even fourth lane at times. And it doesn't quite get that extreme here on the sim. You might be able to do that on this end of the racetrack. You can see where that darker shade of asphalt extends up to where Hyder is. And if he's able to charge up that exit, it could give him some nice momentum down the straightaway into turn 1. But those two racing each other, that's what Cody Rivera wants to see.
He really does, especially now that his tires are starting to fall away. He kind of got the brunt end of this strategy call with all those early yellows and those really interesting pit road decisions, many of them for 2 tires. And Cody Rivera had gone in for 4 fresh goodies alongside the likes of, Gabriel Dahari, who's the race leader right now, AJ Hyder, who spent nearly 30 seconds in his box the last time he hit pit road. Rivera's, of course, on the older set with, as far as he's gone, 46 and counting laps. Now going to be 47 at the line. So you're right, as much pressure as AJ Hyder's putting on Maggio, the big smile is coming around for the league owner, Cody Rivera, who should nonetheless come away with a top 5 should we stay green until this checkered flag. There's James Bomar up the road, to which Dahari has already passed. And look at all that distance back to the green car of Wyatt Roberts. There's so much time in there, and Rivera has a fast enough car with just the right amount of time left, to which even if he does let Maggio and Hyder slide through, he still will be coming around with a top 5. But none of them are in position to capture $50 in the All-Star race win. That's what this is all about. No points are going into this race. It will not matter come playoff time. It will not matter come midseason madness time. Dahari in control, loose race car off turn 2, but he's in cruising mode coming to 3 laps to go.
What would you do with those $50 if this was you?
I honestly don't know. I probably wouldn't spend it on immediate celebration, but I probably would keep it in the back pocket for when I need it. Maybe a good date night, maybe just a little impulse fun buy. What would you do with $50 if you had?
I don't know. I have a lot of stuff on iRacing, so maybe I would just keep it in and just find something. I'm sure the opportunity will present itself with. Maybe I go to some more Marlins games.
That's right. I mean, the tickets are pretty cheap, although they are getting good now, so maybe the tickets will start coming up, but they have been cheap for the last several years in the Marlins history. $50 is not a ton of money, obviously, but for leagues like this, I mean, $50 could change things. I mean, you could buy something nice with it. You can keep it and save it as much as you can. $50, you don't often see that in some of these iRacing leagues. So for a lot of these drivers who, the average age is probably hanging around the late teens to early 20s. Cody Rivera's a 25-year-old. He leads this SAAC Cup Series, but plenty of young and up-and-coming either sim racers or just young and up-and-coming drivers in general in this series. So $50 could go to literally anything in the lives of these drivers. As Dahari comes around for the white flag here from Kentucky Speedway, and as soon as he snagged the lead from Cody Rivera, he had been gone. A fast race car since the drop of the green, and despite some troubles, he's been able to overcome, and off the final corner, Gabriel Dahari will be $50 richer. Off the final corner, Gabriel Dahari wins the Season 4 SAAC Cup Series All-Star Race.
And he did that race from perfection after the issue that him and Steven Maggio faced that had nothing to do with them. They went from the back to the front after that, and they completed that 1-3 effort for themselves. Gabriel Dahari wins $50, and he gets to celebrate as the All-Star Race winner. Great stuff for Gabriel, who won another mile-and-a-half race earlier in the season at Las Vegas. So clearly, Dahari is going to be one to contend with at these mile-and-a-half racetracks.
There is some magic for the Luigi car after all. Gabriel Dahari captures the All-Star Race win. Cody Rivera on the oldest set of the tires in the top 5 still comes away with second. Got to give credit for him. Steven Maggio, third. AJ Hyder, fourth. And Wyatt Roberts, the top 5. There's that Joey Logano-inspired celebration. Very fast for Dahari. Last time he did it was at Las Vegas in his first and only win of Season 4. And although it's not in a points-paying capacity, it is in a cash-paying capacity for the 72 car, who will come around for the victory and continues the long-winded celebration. All the smiles for Dahari as he wins the All-Star race from this old version of the Kentucky Speedway. Let's get you through the unofficial race results after 67 laps and 100 miles from Sparta, where all in all, Gabriel Dehari wins by 1.5 seconds. Cody Riveris on old tires survives for a runner-up finish. Steven Maggio in third. AJ Hyder, strong car to catch Maggio at the end, but just didn't have enough in the tank to go for it. P4 is where he'll be. Wyatt Roberts in fifth. Shockey Tarpley, who got in from finishing second in the All-Star Open. Pretty good result for P6. And Andretti Robinson in seventh. Austin Duran in the 52 recovers after a pretty sizable crash earlier on tonight to end up in eighth. Ollie Reeves in ninth. And Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in the 00 rounds out the top 10.
11th will go to Trevor Haley in the number 19 with Michael Walls in 12th. Amir Bascom down into 13th with Brad Sawinski ended up falling down to the 14th spot. Ellis Wells will finish in 15th. Connor Trafari in 16th and the final car on the lead lap. James Belmar finishes a lap down in 17th. Devin Frank was the pole sitter. Got that damage on a restart to finish in the 16th spot. 19th goes to Malachi Drake in the number 90. Ethan Fonseca Moreno rounds out in the 20th spot. And your final car on the field tonight is the number 30 of Larry Miles.
So that will do it in our All-Star main field from Kentucky. Let's try and get a word with your front-running finishers. We do not have Dehari for right now, but we do have the third-place finisher in Steven Maggio. Steven joins us now in the booth. And Steven, congratulations on the top three. You had a very fast Toyota Camry tonight. And just take us through what your emotions are right now, given the context of how this went. Restart crash with Dehari as you guys were chasing to turn one. Things looked sour then, but the strategy put you guys in the right place and had a fast enough car for podium tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to know my honest feelings right now. Just can't stop getting wrecked. Like, back-to-back All-Star races that I play everything right. I mean, I started the race 16th. I was restarting third for that restart, and I don't know why. I understand it's a unique situation with this restart zone, but like the restart zone's still there. So why are we staying out if we don't know what we're doing? Like, if you don't know how to lead the race or lead the restart, then you should not be staying out and putting yourself in that position and then causing a wreck. It's extremely frustrating. Someone did it last season to me in the All-Star race where they stayed out on old tires and they wrecked me, and I'm just kind of over it at this point. I don't know why people can't have enough respect for their fellow competitors that they just race within their limits.
Just to get more clarification on it, because Francisco and I were having a conversation about this earlier after that particular incident. Here at this old surface in Kentucky, is that restart zone rule still in effect on the oval side, even though there's not really a painted restart zone like we see at many of the modern ovals that we race at?
From my understanding, we were still using that restart zone. That's what we said after we had the first, or that's what we said after we had the second incident. Because then on the second incident, the guy wasn't even the leader, and he's just plowing through Jurg and ruined Jurg's race. So it felt like, I'm happy Gabriel won, but at that point, it felt like every single fast driver that was up there just had their race completely ruined on those two restarts. But yeah, as far as I know, when we talked about it after, we were using that restart zone still, and happy Gabriel was able to drive through the field. I feel like you said, I thought I had a really fast car and was driving it right. But when I take two tires to get the track position and then I immediately get wrecked, and then not only did I get wrecked, but then sliding on those tires, then that kills the tires pretty much right from there, and then I have to start from the back. So I mean, driving up to third was nice, but yeah, I just wish these guys could race within the limits a little more, and especially for Cody, because he puts all this on. It was fun. I admittedly hated the dirt part of it because I stunk at it. It was a skill issue, but he puts on all this work, and then we get to the race and people just don't. I don't know. Larry's a good guy. I know he cares, so I don't even want to say that they don't care, but it's just frustrating that these mistakes keep happening, and I wish we could just have better races, but they'll come eventually. Thank you guys for broadcasting.
Much appreciated on those kind comments. Obviously, a lot of frustration there, and third place here in this All-Star race. Not really going to pay any points, but when we get to mid-season madness later on at Portland, it should be a very good run to the championship and the eliminator chase format. And Steven, you've got a fast race car. You've been close several times. Surely the knocking on the door is going to come to a breaking of the door at some point. But third it is here at Kentucky. Anybody, Steven, that you want to thank and shout out for tonight's race?
Yeah, shout out Cody, like I said, does a great job. Shout out you guys in the booth. Good shout out Gabriel on the good win and Cody on the second place. I was trying to get around him there, but I couldn't. Didn't have just quite enough of an advantage. I think I was a tiny bit faster, but needed the speed difference to be a little bit bigger. And then I think that's about it. Yeah, thank you guys.
Well, Steven, we thank you so much for the time. Congrats on the P3, and hopefully we'll see you at the road course at Portland very soon.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Steven Maggio frustrated there after getting involved in what he was referring to the restart crash that also caught the eventual race winner tonight in Gabriel Dahari. So Maggio, of course, frustrated then. He's been close several times. He hasn't been able to capture a win yet, and it's third place here in the All-Star race. Well, speaking of Cody, we are now joined by the league owner, Cody Riveras. And Cody, you were just about to put the $50 in the back pocket and keep it away from everyone else. A fast strategy call to put yourself at the front. Not enough to stave off Dahari in those final laps, but a second place effort, certainly strong. What were the thoughts after a hard-fought Kentucky All-Star race?
Well, first of all, I don't think this actually made it to the broadcast, obviously, but we did double the pot just before the race. We turned it into a $100 race. So I did think for a second there I was going to keep that money in my own pocket, just like last season's All-Star race. Everything kind of lined up the exact same. All the main contenders had terrible luck, and I found myself at the front. And I thought for a while there that, you know, I was gonna get it done. And as that run just kind of progressed, I slowly started to realize it probably wasn't going to happen. I was thinking with as much as we were wrecking that we were probably going to get another wreck at some point. So I was just trying to keep the track position. We didn't get the wreck. My tires started to fall off, and I knew it was a matter of time before Gabe got there. But I was incredibly happy to keep second place. Steven and AJ are both fantastic racers. Gabe's fantastic. So it's not a win tonight. No money for second, but it is a confidence builder going into the second half of the season, and hopefully I can improve my place in the standings and make a run in the postseason.
A big confidence booster for sure. And I'd be honest, broadcasting this All-Star format, I had never seen a format like this before. You race on an oval, you go dirt off-road racing to qualify these guys for this main race, and then you go at it on the same track in the same format and run at it a bit longer for the main prize. What does that mean reflection-wise to the series that you're putting together and how different you guys want to be in the SAAC Cup Series? Because between Eliminator, Chase, and it seems this format, it brings out the unpredictability and everything, which in turn makes it a lot of fun.
You know, we like to have fun. We like to keep it serious when we need to keep it serious, but we do like to branch out. Last season we did the trucks. We had an all-Charlotte All-Star event. We're already planning on tracks for next season's All-Star event and how we're going to do it. But anytime we're not putting any points on the line and we're just doing a straight money race, we like to mix it up. We got the safe driver shootout later in the year. That one's going to have a couple surprises, which will be pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, these guys are fantastic. They all get up for it. They all really enjoy mixing it up. We don't get a lot of pushback on that at all, which is super cool. And, you know, we had a nice mixed up grid. Devin Frank was on pole for about a half a second. We had a bunch of guys that are normally starting up front, starting in the back, guys that are starting in the middle, starting up front. And, you know, it might not have provided the best race, but at the end, it was a pretty fun run to the end. And we're just going to keep on doing it, Kenneth.
P2 here in this All-Star race, very fast run and lots of fun overall over the course of this crazy format. Cody, before we let you bounce on the P2 effort tonight, anybody in particular that you want to thank or shout out for tonight's run and the effort of putting this All-Star race together?
Yeah, well, it's been a while since I've been on one of these interviews, but I always like to shout out all the guys in SAAC, man. We don't have a league without every single guy that decides to grid on a Thursday night. So I'm really appreciative to those guys. I'm appreciative, especially to the guys that show up every single week and give us a nice, loyal group of guys. So shout out to them. Shout out to the Live Golf Gold Scheme. Almost got it done, but we'll see about next week at Portland.
Look good under the lights here from Kentucky. Cody, on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, congratulations on the P2 here in the All-Star Fair, and we'll see you at Portland for the Midseason Madness.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Cody Riveras ends up second place after it all here from Kentucky. And now we are joined by the race winner. Now $100 richer. I had no idea until Cody told me, but it's triple digits instead of double digits. Gabriel Dahari, welcome to Victory Lane for the second time this season, but welcome to All-Star Victory Lane. What are the initial thoughts after how it turned sour midway and then all of a sudden got better under green?
Man, that was honestly pretty fun when everyone green. The dirty air, with the new update and all. Didn't feel like it was extremely bad at this track. It felt pretty good. I'm a fan. Yeah, there were a couple wrecks there through the middle of that race that I just barely squeaked by. If I didn't, then I would not be where I am today.
It ended up being a crazy run midway, lots of carnage. You were able to squeak by some of those big incidents. And then it ended up on the strategy to where you and this Kentucky Speedway could start to figure each other out lap by lap. I know that you guys had a 15-minute warm-up session prior to this, some practice before in the hours leading up to the All-Star Open race. But what did you learn particularly about how this old Kentucky surface drives and what challenges you faced along the way?
Yeah, this is a kind of a unique oval. The bottom is not necessarily the preferred groove like it is at a lot of tracks. You kind of want to be a lane up, ride the seam just a little bit, especially in 3 and 4. And 1 and 2, you can kind of run the bottom, and it's not too shabby. Maybe a little good for tire saving, but yeah, this is definitely a unique track.
Big win here in this All-Star race. Now you got the cash. Now you've got the bragging rights. You head into the midseason madness with a road course at Portland. Maybe how much momentum will you have coming out of this race, and how much confidence will you build as you try to chase for a championship later this season?
Yeah, I definitely feel good about the ovals, at least, that I have the pace to win, and looking forward to taking that championship.
Well, Gabriel, a fantastic race tonight on strategy and on raw pace in this final long green flag run. Anybody that you want to shout out or thank before we let you bounce on the win?
Shout out to the guys in my voice chat, Stephen Maggio and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Shout out to you guys at KBRN for broadcasting, and shout out to Cody for putting on the show.
Well, Gabriel, on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, congratulations on the All-Star race win. Final question before we let you go. What are you going to do with the $100?
I'm going to give half of it back to Cody because I feel like he deserves it. And I don't know, go get some meat to eat, I guess. Kind of hungry.
All right, Gabriel. Well, hopefully you're able to get that meal. Giving back to the community, always a good thing, Gabriel. Congrats on the All-Star win tonight.
Thank you. Have a good one.
So Gabriel Dahari in the 72 car gets his technically second race victory of the season, and this one comes in the form of the All-Star race as we move forward. A whale of a job by Dahari, and after the All-Star race, we go points racing again for the beginning of the mid-season madness bracket tournament. And to shake things up even more, we're going to be road course racing for the second time in 2025. We'll be up in Portland International Raceway, and first ever broadcast on KBRN at Portland, so a historic step up. Then we'll go to Talladega, then at Phoenix, Homestead, Slinger in the middle of the season right before the Eliminator Chase format begins at Darlington, all for the chase to Auto Club Speedway to decide a champion at season's end. We still have a long way to go here in Season 4 of the SAAC Cup Series, but we're happy that you're joined with us on the KBueno Racing Network for all of it. And just a quick reminder of things that are upcoming in the world of the KBueno Racing Network. That begins with this SAAC Cup Series race that just ended from Kentucky, but we will go championship racing in Homestead for the championship for the Drop in the Hammer Cup Series' initial Season 1 campaign. And then KBRN Truck Series action kicks off the Monday that follows on August 11th from the World Center of Racing. Francisco will have the call for that, so be sure to join all of the action on the KBueno Racing Network as we go racing from Daytona. So a big welcome to all of those tune in on the KBueno Racing Network for the SAAC Cup Series ride as we decide a champion this season. And to all those that watched tonight, thank you so much for being patient with us and watching all of the action as Gabriel Dahari, $100 richer All-Star race winner as the field heads to Portland.